three enormous cities controlled by ardent leftists, the demographics are on my side. Both political extremes are very vocal, and nutty messages are easily carried on social media. The fanatical Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of the most famous liberal politicians in the USA. The equally fervent Marjorie Taylor Greene is working towards that status on the conservative side. It was fascinating to see Ms. Greene try to block President Trump's arms deal with NATO. Why, Marge? Why do you want to help the psychopathic Putin? Greene's congressional colleagues shut her down, but come on. The far-right Senator Barry Goldwater believed that extremism in defense of liberty is no vice. But here's my retort. You can defend liberty without being an ideological loon. Just ask George Washington. Back in a moment. President Trump signed a new executive order to lower prices on prescription drugs, as you know. But change takes time. So All Family Pharmacy is offering 20% off all meds now through June 30th. A great deal. No insurance needed, plus prescriptions and delivery are included. Just choose from more than 200 medications like ivermectin and more. Please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/bill. Use the code BILL20 for 20% off today. allfamilypharmacy.com/bill, code BILL20. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, we had some overnight thunderstorms roll through in spots, but the weather has generally settled down this morning. Let's be ready, though, for another round of rain and storms this afternoon with a weak cold front in the neighborhood. This time, storm chances highest from St. Louis to the south. Otherwise, partly cloudy, not as hot as yesterday, 87 this afternoon. An isolated shower or storm possible tonight, down to 72 for the low, and more of the same for Friday. Partly cloudy, chance of storms, high of 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
What's happening today? Here's your first dose of the news you need to know. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
President Trump really wants this to go away for some reason, but it's not. Now he is directly challenging his own supporters, saying if you believe there's anything to the Jeffrey Epstein story, then you've bought into a hoax and it's all complete bullshit. Yeah, we're going to read his now infamous Truth Social post a little bit later on today. Oh, good God. This is getting it has become so bizarre. Anyway, hey, good morning. Happy Thursday to you. Mike Ferguson here. We had a fantastic conversation with Jefferson County Sheriff Dave Marshak. I wish we had more sheriffs in this state and in this country like Dave Marshak. He's part of the new alliance of law enforcement officers, sheriffs, who say the Second Amendment means what it says and law enforcement should be on the leading edge of defending your rights. Here's that discussion, and this is one you want to find in our podcast and send to your friends and family.
When I saw this news article, literally one of the first things that went through my mind was, I'm so glad because that statement carries so much more weight coming from law enforcement. My second thought was, I bet Dave's a part of that. So, and I texted you, yep, of course. Sure enough, you were. And so you and some of your colleagues around the state, let's set the foundation first. You go to the Capitol, you announce a new alliance, and it's very clear this is a group of top law enforcement officers around the state and the counties saying the Second Amendment actually means something. Why is it important for law enforcement to speak up on this?
Well, you're right. Earlier this week, sheriffs from across the state of Missouri, we announced the Missouri Sheriff's Constitutional Firearms Alliance, which is a united initiative bound by sheriffs across the state to be a unified voice for advocating for responsible gun ownership. opposing unconstitutional gun control legislation, which a lot of times we hear about the red flag laws, and promoting education and safety within local communities. It's a solid group of sheriffs who are already tasked with representing their communities and law enforcement alike. And so with this new alliance, we hope to be a stronger voice to protect those rights of our citizens.
I mentioned the media framing on this because, and if you saw the comments, like when the local, news outlets and TV stations put the story up, people were just shocked that any law enforcement would actually be pro Second Amendment or pro gun or be against gun control laws. The narrative that we're constantly fed, Sheriff, is that you want everybody disarmed because you're a police officer. What does that affect how you all are able to do your jobs when people just assume that you want our Second Amendment rights violated when you don't?
Yeah, you can't listen. We've seen what happens when you don't have a seat at the table. There's a saying that goes a little like this: if you're not at the table, you might be on the menu. And when it comes to legislation regulating firearms, that's the case. We have to be at the table. We have to have a voice. And this is one mechanism to give us the opportunity and voice to represent the people that elected us. I think there should be no greater ally when it comes to defending Second Amendment rights than your local sheriff. And that's one of the main reasons that this alliance was formed. We cannot trust some of the media outlets in terms of their narratives of what they think is best for the community. We've seen biased reporting over and over when it comes to firearms and firearm safety. We have to be engaged. And that's what this is really about. Not only are we engaged, we're engaged on behalf of our constituents and the people that we protect. And so this new alliance will not only offer protection and allegiance to protect your Second Amendment, but also we're going to advocate for criminals to be held accountable for violent acts, especially involving the use of a firearm. And I think that's a major component of it as well.
Yeah, because, obviously bad people do bad things with guns. From a law enforcement perspective, I mean, first of all, there's the human civil rights aspect of the Second Amendment, the right to self-defense on this. But from a law enforcement perspective, why is it crucial to preserve and protect the Second Amendment rights when we know that bad people do bad things with guns?
Yeah, look, I mean, you were talking about it earlier when you were talking about the crime in St. Louis City. The fact is Jefferson County's population a little bit smaller than St. Louis City, but I would argue that we have more guns per capita in this region than anywhere around St. Louis City. And yet we continue to see low crime rates because we actually enforce the law, and that's important.
So what are some of the things that you want to be in communication with our lawmakers, with the governor? Because overall, I think the Republicans are pretty good on the Second Amendment in Missouri. Oh, sorry, I got a little bit of feedback. So what are some of the things that the alliance now really wants to make sure stays front and center when it comes to policy, whether it's in the upcoming session or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you'll see us advocating more at the Capitol for certain pieces of legislation that specifically offer protections that maybe haven't been offered before, and that also support law enforcement and the rights of our citizens who demand a Second Amendment protection. So I think the alliance, as things continue to grow, will encourage more participation. I'm excited about what's coming. I'm excited about the Firearms Alliance program and what it's going to bring for the state of Missouri and advocating for all of our people.
And we've got a lot of sheriffs involved in this here. I mean, we're talking about sheriffs who were elected from basically throughout the state at this point, right?
Yeah, there's 114 sheriffs throughout the state, and most are aligned with the right side of thinking when it comes to Second Amendment protections and also constitutional protections for all of our citizens. Every now and then we get a couple sheriffs out there going sideways, and that happens when you have such a large group. But overall, I think they're in the best position as a representative of their community to advocate for these types of protections.
We are visiting with Sheriff Dave Marshak from Jefferson County. And obviously, we've got plenty of time before the next session begins. We've seen the debate and the changes over, for instance, SEPA and some of these other laws. Is there anything specific that's going to be on maybe an advocacy to-do list in 2026 at this point? Or is this a matter of being a line of defense against something that would violate our rights?
Look, I think there's going to be a lot of things moving forward. That's the idea by forming the alliance, is to make some changes. I think from a legislative perspective, we will work with our legislators to execute. And, as Thomas Edison would say, vision without execution is hallucination. I don't think things happen without you being involved and engaged. And when it comes to legislation this next session, I'm confident something will be presented through the Missouri legislature that will strengthen Second Amendment protections and then offer law enforcement the ability to protect our citizens in a way that you haven't seen before.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have to do any countering of narratives? Because anytime, a police chief, usually from a big city somewhere, and I don't want to start throwing out names and things like that, but they're basically trotted out as the expert as to why we need to further regulate guns or put in red flag laws.
Definitely. Definitely. We've seen many police chiefs that are puppets for their mayor, and whatever the mayor and the Democratic agenda wants to push, they'll fall in sync with them. And I think if you want to use a small example, look at some of the mask mandate things that have happened in our municipal policing agencies across the country. I think they were violating constitutional rights of our citizens, some going as far as making physical arrests and restraining our citizens to demand that they mask. I think there's a lot of things that need to change. Your sheriffs are elected by the people to protect those constitutional rights. And I don't see that as a bold move by many of the police chiefs and my peers around the country.
Okay, so obviously this is a statewide alliance here. We've talked about the relationship with the legislature that you're going to be building. What about with local governments? You mentioned city halls and mayors and things like that. Is this something that's going to be available both directions in government, both state and local as well?
Well, I think when it comes to policy, I think you'll see most of it at the state level. We have a great relationship with the Missouri legislature, and I don't want to name drop a few people because somebody will be offended if I didn't mention them. But we do have a great relationship, and many of them have activities on your show and your station. Look, I think moving forward, as far as local politics, I will tell you in Jefferson County, all of our elected officials, from whatever position they hold, are pro-Second Amendment politicians, and they were elected by the people to still protect that, regardless of what their position is. So I think locally we have the benefit of having the support from our electeds, but I think most of this is going to be generated at the state level to provide protections across the entire state of Missouri. Okay.
Is there going to be any sort of website or social media presence or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to learn more about the Missouri Sheriff's Constitutional Firearms Alliance, that is mscfa.net. We are right now actually offering memberships to our alliance for as little as $25, and it includes a free subscription to the Missouri Sheriff's Association magazine. So I'm happy to provide more information to any listener out there, but we are encouraging more people to participate so we can advocate on your behalf of responsible gun ownership, constitutional protections for all gun owners, and promoting education and safety within the local communities.
All right, Jefferson County Sheriff Dave Marshak. Man, great talk to you again, Dave. Thanks so much for being on.
Have a good day. Thank you.
All right, we can't avoid talking about this now. President Trump basically says, if you think there's any Epstein files, well, you just bought into a hoax. He says, we're going to call it the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Really? That seems not plausible to me. What do you think? I'm going to try to be as objective as I can, but give me your take. Start sending me notes on social media, Rumble chat box, Facebook comments, or give me a call, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere, and we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery in St. Peters, St. Charles, Lake St. Louis on Confort Trail, and the original Stephanitas in O'Fallon on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Check us out at Steph'sPizza.com. Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I don't know how many, and I'm going to get to the show sheet here in a second, Jerome. I don't know how many other programs start off the day by looking at the audience, sending in quotes from Thomas Sowell.
Yeah, that's a great way to start the morning.
I'm not saying that the Mike Ferguson in the Morning family is smarter than everybody else out there. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
I'm not saying it either, but I'm saying I would agree with anybody that would make that statement.
Exactly. All right, 5:49 right now. I guess I guess PBS and NPR are going to have to compete in the marketplace like everybody else.
Oh,
yeah, imagine that. Here's the spoiler alert on this. They're probably going to be fine even without the taxpayers' money to subsidize them. I mean, that's likely going to be the outcome here. We'll get to that in just a second. And also, yes, we're going to address the things that President Trump said about his own supporters. I guess or some of them. I guess we can.
We can say saying that you are a stupid Republican, Mike?
I'm a conservatarian independent, myself. But that's what everybody is talking about. So I'm telling you right now, go ahead and let me know how you feel when you hear the president say those things. I've got the audio clips. We're going to read his now infamous post. You tell me what you think. I'm not going to try to drive this one. I want everybody else to drive. So we'll get to that in just a second here. Okay. So Republicans in the Senate, this was really early this morning, actually. barely passed that rescissions package that includes the defunding of public broadcasting. Now, when I say defunding, I'm talking about the actual federal government subsidies of PBS and of NPR. That is actually a small part of their overall funding. Now this also includes, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, things like that. But, channel 9 here in St. Louis is not going off the air. Okay. The NPR station here is not going off the air in St. Louis. But assuming this follows through the complete process, which I would think so. I mean, this cut was requested by President Trump. The House Republicans basically said, yep, no problem. Sent it right up the road. And then the Senate Democrats, and it was 51-49. So they barely mustered up the wherewithal to get this done. So here's what's going on. When I used to work in Kansas City, I was one of those media person. I was the token conservative who did the the weekly news roundup show. I was on their TV show a lot. And the host and the producer of that show, who became a friend of mine. Of course, you always have to have the European guy with the accent doing something on local PBS. I think it's a rule. Yeah. But great guy. Nick's a great guy. And we were talking about this years ago. One of the last times the Republicans threatened to cut off federal funding for PBS and NPR, which has happened. But this is the only time that I remember that they actually followed through and actually have done it.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely good. And to me, it's a market thing. I think NPR is absolutely everything Donald Trump says they are: left-wing, biased, activist. I think PBS is everything that the Republicans and Donald Trump say it is. I completely agree with that. Mm-hmm. I'm not one that says they should be pulled off the air. Well, you should pull their license. No, I don't think so. But I don't think we should be paying for it.
Yeah,
that's the rub. And so Nick and I are talking, and Nick actually ran a very good show. I mean, I was the token conservative that did battle with three leftists, week after week after week. But he said, every time the Republicans do this, our donations spike. He said, and he said the NPR donations spike. And that's likely what's going to happen now. Is this is going to be signed in. That $1 billion of funding is going to go away. And it's being clawed back, and they are going to send out panicked donate now. The big bad Republicans are trying to kill off your public broadcasting. Okay. Then send them money. So what's happening now is these stations will determine if there's a market for what they produce and what they put out there.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be back in the day a pretty big fan of NPR.
Sure.
I was one of those people. I'll put it this way: I was one of those people as a 19-year-old kid that thought that I was smarter than everybody else because I listened to NPR.
Right. And that's the brand that the NPR's created.
Yeah. And then as I started to develop more critical thinking skills, I started to realize this is not the objective, most intelligent. And I mean, we're not 100% objective about everything. The things that matter, of course.
Now, I will say we are honest about what we're not objective.
Yes.
About. I try to be very clear. I've got a perspective. I'm biased.
Yeah.
I'm a conservatarian. I'm very conservative.
But we tell you that. And that was what that was where I started to tune them out. I'm like,
yeah,
you're not disclosing the fact that you're inserting your opinions alongside things that are. So I'm thinking this is all the objective, what's happening. And really it's almost like a subliminal sort of messaging going on. I don't want to be funding that if I don't consume it. But at the same time, if there are people that like it, they can keep it afloat.
Yeah, they can keep, listen, they're going to get sponsorships. They're going to get grants. They're going to get corporate donations. That's all part of the free market. All that's happening now is the Republicans and the president have said, you have to survive in the marketplace like everybody else. What on earth is wrong with that?
Yeah,
absolutely nothing. And if there is a demand, listen, when you look at the podcast space, All Things Considered is one of the most popular podcasts in the world. They have an audience. Over the air, not so much, but if there is enough support to keep those stations broadcasting, then people will donate money or advertisers will buy. And I know they say they're not they're advertising. Okay, if you see the little clip, it's advertising. They just use a little different language. And so if there's a demand for what they produce, then they'll make it. They'll be fine. And I don't have an issue with that. To me, this is a free market issue more so than it is those darn leftists, are on the air. I don't care that they're on the air. I think my ideas are better than them. I'm happy to compete with them because I think we've got better ideas. I think I've got better arguments. So if anything, they're going to be freed up to be more honest about who and what they are. Okay, I got no issue with that. But the Republicans are doing the right thing. Took forever. It's a little scratch on the big problem, but at least it's something. It may be more symbolic than anything. But PBS and NPR aren't going anywhere. If some little station out in the middle of the boonies shuts down because they can't raise enough money for it, well, then there wasn't a demand for it.
Yeah. Why were we keeping that afloat if it was not something anybody was even wanting to use?
Yeah, exactly. So, welcome to the real world. This is the free marketplace. This is, basically instead of living in mom and dad's home now and getting an allowance, for doing nothing, you now have to go earn your own keep. That's essentially what Washington, D.C. is telling them right now. And again, I don't think they're going anywhere. People will pony up and give them money, at least for a while. But they'll get a spike and they're going to make it sound like this is all of their funding. It's actually a small part of it. So it's not a big a deal as they want to make it out to be, but they'll capitalize on it. But this should have been a no-brainer decades ago to do this.
Yeah. And if you need to, just keep your thermostat a little bit higher and you'll be fine.
Right. Okay. So we've got the information segment coming up here. I'm sure that our town hall news is going to be talking about Donald Trump kind of lashing out at Republicans and specifically at members of the MAGA movement who are still calling for transparency on the Epstein files.
You don't need us, apparently.
Okay, so we are going to talk about that, but let me know right now. Start sending in your thoughts and comments. How do you feel when you read and you hear what the president said, frankly, about a lot of you? So I'm going to try to drive with your reactions to that. And of course, you can let me know 314-912-1019.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one you will remember. Gulf Shores RestaurantandGrill.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This will be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
We aren't asking you to volunteer for CASA. We're asking you to advocate for
Alex,
Andre,
Ava,
Max,
Olivia, Ciara.
CASA volunteers make a lasting impact in a child's life in only a few volunteer hours a week. As a CASA volunteer, you support a child throughout their experience in foster care, advocating for their needs and ensuring their voice is heard.
Learn more at mocasa.org. Paid for by the Missouri CASA Association.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason.
Several states deal with the aftermath of destructive and deadly flooding. A different dangerous weather phenomenon has taken lives this summer.
Lightning strikes injure multiple people in Florida and New Jersey since the beginning of July. The latest incident at a New Jersey archery range. A 61-year-old instructor was killed and 8 children were among the 13 injured after the range was hit by lightning Wednesday night. This past Monday, a golfer died a week after being struck by lightning in New Jersey. On the 4th of July in Florida, a family sitting under an umbrella on St. Pete Beach felt a nearby lightning strike. A 17-year-old girl was taken to the hospital. And then Saturday, July 12th, 3 people were injured after being struck by lightning on the St. Augustine Pier in Florida. Tasha Stevens reporting.
In a razor-thin vote early this morning, the Senate approved President Trump's request to cancel roughly $9 billion in foreign aid and funding for public broadcasting. The 51-48 vote followed 12 hours of voting on amendments. The bill now goes to the House, which, if it's going to, must approve the bill by tomorrow. Like father, like daughter.
The Justice Department has fired Maureen Comey, a federal prosecutor who worked on the cases against Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Diddy Combs. She's also the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, who was fired by President Trump during his first term. 3 people familiar with the matter told the Associated Press on Wednesday. One of those sources said no specific reason was given for why she was terminated.
Correspondent Marcela Sanchez. The mall in eastern Iraq had just opened recently. Now there's been a deadly fire at the shopping venue. At least 60 people were killed. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are mixed. The Dow futures down 35 points, while the NASDAQ futures 34 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
I'm an artist and I'm in my studio. I listen to the radio all day and I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor. And I've got pain in my neck and it's getting worse. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later, I've got much better range of motion. If you're experiencing pain at a certain point in life, I would get Relief Factor.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to relieffactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, we had some overnight thunderstorms roll through in spots, but the weather has generally settled down this morning. Let's be ready, though, for another round of rain and storms this afternoon with a weak cold front in the neighborhood. This time, storm chances highest from St. Louis to the south. Otherwise, partly cloudy, not as hot as yesterday, 87 this afternoon. An isolated shower or storm possible tonight, down to 72 for the low, and more of the same for Friday. Partly cloudy, chance of storms, high of 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. Mike Ferguson.
What were you thinking? Mush for brains?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
You're here illegally. Go home.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
It is our time now to stand up and preserve this nation.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, the Republicans barely scrape off a tiny percentage of the federal spending, and the Democrats say people are going to die.
Sky's falling.
Yeah, again.
Cats and dogs living together.
I know.
Mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. All right, so everybody's talking. Man, I got to tell you, I'm not looking forward to this necessarily, but we have to. So everybody's talking about this, so I've got to ask, how do you feel about President Trump lashing out against his own supporters who are calling for the release of the Epstein files? So what we're going to do here is I've got a few details here in a minute. Go ahead and send me a note on social media, or you can email me, or you can give me a call 314-912-1019, or send us a voicemail through the app or whatever. He's posted that now infamous social media post. We're just going to read it word for word. I'm not going to give you my thoughts and reactions right away. We've also got his comments in the White House when he was asked about that. So he was given a request to clarify what he thought. And so I'm just going to play all that for you. You tell me how you feel, because if you're really invested and have been for a long time, I can imagine that this will hit people in different ways. I would just think so. So I'm I just try to call balls and strikes when it comes to the Trump administration, and more times than not, I think he's right about stuff. Times I disagree with him. But I really want to know what you all think about this. Also, one family turns a lemonade stand into something much, much, much bigger.
Really?
Yeah, it is 6:07 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Common Sense Rentals.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, they finally done it. Barely. The Senate voted 51-48 early this morning.
Okay.
Yep. To pass that rescissions bill to claw back about $9 billion in spending. And this is the bill that includes the funding for public broadcasting, and then billions of dollars in foreign aid, which are now being cut back. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the bill is cutting wasteful spending, but he acknowledges it's really not that much.
What we're talking about here is 1/10 of 1% of all federal spending. 1/10 of 1% of all federal spending. But it's a step in the right direction.
Okay, so on the other side of the aisle is Chucky Schumer, who says this is going to have a terrible impact because of those spending cuts, especially with public broadcasting.
This is a dark day for America, a dark day for rural Americans, a dark day for any American who relies on public broadcasting during floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, and other disasters.
Wait, what?
Does he actually think that no one's going to get any alerts when there are storms in their areas anymore?
It's about to storm. Oh my gosh, what should I do? Elmo, help me. I don't even know if Elmo's still on PBS.
What is he actually saying? Actually, you know what? I believe Sesame Street has been privatized.
Yeah,
and yet, like, there's it's streaming someplace, and they actually paid for it because it makes money because it's popular.
Yeah.
But what is he talking about?
I have no idea. Every single television station has the little bug with all of the alerts and the storms, and you get the thing on your phone.
Yeah.
What on what planet is he on? I mean, if that's the best you've got, you're out of ammo, dude.
He appears to be trying to make the case that NPR is our emergency broadcast system. Like that's what they do. That's their primary function.
Oh, I know. But here's the thing. Okay, let's say that there's a terrible storm moving in and you tune to NPR.
Okay.
This just in. The weather due to climate change could be potentially dangerous in this Republican storm that is about to come this way. You should avoid low-lying areas. Brought to you by Cargill.
Mike, I think you're correct there.
I know.
I think we have to be very careful about how the climate impacts touch the lives of individuals within our listening area. But please do make a donation.
In your donation package will be 1 box of sweaty balls.
Honestly, NPR is terrible radio.
Oh my gosh,
it is.
awful.
It is terrible radio. When somebody says that they listen to NPR,
First of all, I don't believe that. I've seen the numbers.
I lose a little respect for you, just a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. All right, so we'll have more on that just a little bit here. Okay, Anthony Bernal. Now, you may not know that name, but he's a former aide to former First Lady Jill Biden, and he was among those being questioned about, hey, was the president of the United States completely incompetent to take himself to the bathroom, much less run the country? They were using different words than that. But anyway, Anthony Bernal pleading the fifth during a deposition before the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday. Now, this was the latest subpoena of the committee as part of their investigation into the cover-up of former President Joe Biden's mental decline while in office, and what people are saying was the unauthorized use of AutoPen for pardons and other executive actions. And this comes just 1 week after former Biden Dr. Kevin O'Connor also pleads the fifth in his deposition. Congressman Byron Donalds reacting to that news of that pleading the fifth.
The fact that they are now hiding behind the Constitution so that they don't have to tell the truth to the American people about Joe Biden's capabilities and mental faculties while he was president of the United States is not just shocking, it's stunning. And it demonstrates the level of corruption that was going on in that administration.
Yeah. So first of all, the constitutional protections are there for a reason. To be fair, but
he's kind of right though.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
On this, when everybody is pleading the fifth on that, yes, that is your constitutional right to do that, and we should not take that away. But it does tell you something about that there is at the very least some significant liability at stake if somebody says, I am protecting myself by not telling you what I saw and heard and participated in.
I know nothing.
Basically. Oh, good God. All right. President Trump signing a bill into law addressing the flow of fentanyl in this country. Here's the story from Town Hall.
Joined by parents who lost children to fentanyl overdoses, the president signed the Halt All Lethal Trafficking of Fentanyl Act.
And we take a historic step toward justice for every family touched by the fentanyl scourge.
Under the new law, the opioid will be classified as a Schedule I drug, which promises tougher prison sentences for those convicted with trafficking fentanyl. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And that was fairly bipartisan. Senator Eric Schmidt was heavily involved in moving that in the Senate as well.
Good stuff.
I'm just glad they finally recognize that fentanyl is as dangerous as marijuana.
Finally, it's finally a class Schedule
finally.
One. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna get into this here in a little bit. Tell me what you think. President Trump is being accused of going on the attack against his own supporters if those supporters continue the call for more information about the Epstein sex trafficking case. So President Trump posted a lengthy rant on his Truth Social, which we're just going to read word for word in the 620 segment here. Apparently calling the entire situation the Jeffrey Epstein hoax and saying those who believe it are, and I'm using his words, past supporters of his and are weaklings for doing the Democrats' work on this.
Yep.
Okay, so
he said it.
Yeah, and we're just, because I want to be really careful to keep it all in context. So we're just going to read the whole thing, the 620. Tell me how you feel about that. I mean, I'm not arguing to stay on board or get off board, or I want to know what you think. I want you to kind of drive this next part of the discussion here. Okay, kids' lemonade stands don't usually make the news. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless something weird happens, like, some Karen calls the police or
like you don't
like
have
that.
a permit for
right.
this.
Exactly.
or 1,000 bikers show up to support one. It's like, okay, that's cute.
But a kid's lemonade stand in Lubbock, Texas is becoming kind of a silver lining to a tragedy here. So 5 sisters in the Fishinick family set up a stand to raise money for victims of the floods in Central Texas that have killed over 100 people. Basically, we got to do something. What can we do? Let's raise some money for the victims. So once word got out, lines formed on their street around the block. People were giving up and saying, we'll come back later. And the lines never really went down. People started paying a lot more for the lemonade than what
Mm.
was actually being charged. They were taking payments, I believe, like by Venmo and stuff, and people just started sending them donations for this. And when it was all said and done, this lemonade stand raised over $20,000
Nice.
for the victims.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Great job.
Which
That's
shows
good
you that
stuff.
people in amidst a tragedy, when you take out all the political crap that people try to make these things into, people want to help people in this country.
It's awesome.
Yeah. $20,000, man. All right. The Cardinals get one more day off for the All-Star break. So no game today. They begin a series in Arizona against the Diamondbacks tomorrow.
Don't try to make me stop. Inspiration.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Mike Ferguson, Gabe Pfeiffer. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this.
Well, it is definitely summer here in the heartland. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service for all of your commercial and residential tree care. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Let them come out to your homestead or your business today. Take care of everything regarding the exterior of your home. Grinding and land clearing, all residential and commercial tree services. They've got fantastic organic mulch in bulk, plant health care as well. Give them a call, 636-379-1830, 24/7. They're always available at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Hey, News Talk STL listeners, this is Levi, CEO of Reach Reproductive Health. There was a huge gap left when the biggest pregnancy center in St. Louis had to close their doors right after Amendment 3. But by God's grace and power, Reach has been able to step into that space. We have acquired Thrive centers and are continuing operations in greater St. Louis. I have a request for you. Would you pray and consider getting to know Reach more? We are here to see babies saved and families transformed by the power of Christ. Get to know us on our Reach community website, outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. So good. It's the au jus that makes it. And the Wagyu beef is pretty good, too. I love Capriati's, and you will, too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work.
Okay, so what he's referring to there, and I'm going to read the rest of his words when he says the stupid and foolish Republicans are falling into the net. He's talking about the continued push for transparency on the Epstein files and demanding the Epstein files.
Right.
I think I just said that as objectively as I can. I don't think
that was the proper context of what he was saying.
Yeah. So he went on to say, and again, we're going to read this whole thing here in a second that he posted, basically saying you're a weakling and a former supporter of Donald Trump if you are still wanting the transparency in the files to be released. And I mean, he really sort of lashed out, and that was from him being questioned about the social media post that we're gonna read here in just a second. So
right.
Okay, so we've gone from the White House, and guys, if I'm taking any of this out of context, please call me out on this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've gone from the Trump White House handing out phase 1 booklets about the Epstein files, literally from the administration.
Yeah.
Promising more about the Epstein case.
More to come.
You're right. To then going to, hey, case is closed. There's nothing here other than Ghislaine Maxwell being in prison. To there are no perpetrators, even though there are victims. To it's the Jeffrey Epstein hoax.
Yeah.
I mean, did I take any of that out of context?
Nope. That was the progression from this administration.
Okay, so we're starting to get some people's thoughts, because my question here is, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, how does it hit you?
Yeah, how does this hit you? Whether or not, and if you, I mean, I want to hear from everybody, but I'm particularly interested in hearing from those who are and have been, part of the MAGA movement as well. And again, I'm not saying stay on board or get off. I'm not doing that, but I'm really wanting to know what you hear. I think, even though this is kind of a long post, I think we should just read it word for word.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we can't properly capture or encapsulate what's being expressed here by Trump, except to just present him in his own words, essentially.
So our friend Allison says that it's obvious that Trump is not going to be winning a third term with this kind of rhetoric.
Well, she's not wrong.
Very well played there.
That's funny. That's funny.
Okay, so this is the post that he put on his Truth Social, 9:43 a.m. July 16th. So yesterday. Okay. Here's what he had to say. So I'll read part of this, and then I'm going to hand it off to you, Gabe, because it's a long post.
It's a big one. It's a big one.
These are his words, word for word here. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again, just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, with intelligence in quotes, the laptop from hell, which the Dems swore had come from Russia, in parentheses, no, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom, and even the Russia scam itself, a totally fake and made up story used in order to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big loss in the 2016 presidential election. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. They are no good at governing, no good at policy, and no good at picking winning candidates. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters, and past is in all caps, and my past supporters have bought into this BS.
Bull stuff.
Yeah, BS. Hook, line, and sinker.
They haven't learned their lesson, and probably never will, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. I've had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again.
Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore.
That's a big phrase. That phrase, that is one of the phrases that hits pretty hard, I think, in this whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to look at, let me scroll through Rumble, because I know we had a lot of comments.
What do you guys think about
here?
this?
Okay. So that's my question is, how does this make you, I guess, feel? 101 straight up. Had a few things here. I think Trump owes America and his supporters the truth and an honest explanation regarding the Epstein stuff show. Let's see here. Allison points out, and this is true. The DOJ fired Maureen Comey, Manhattan prosecuting attorney who prosecuted Maxwell, Epstein, and Diddy. That did happen. That's true. And one other prosecutor as well. Let's see here. Oh, this is interesting. 101 straight up again. People are talking about Epstein because they love Trump. We are fearful the same people who tried to kill Trump, impeach him, and throw him in prison were behind Epstein. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's part of it right there. Let's see here. Let's see. Then
There isn't anything on Facebook right
Okay.
now, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and if you include this in the constellation of things that I've seen online and just in social media in general,
Mhm.
people's reactions, not necessarily even just to this, but to the what we're seeing, the turn that we've been seeing on this whole Epstein case in general.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are expressing disappointment.
Yeah.
A lot of people are expressing just non-belief. It's like, all right, well, what is happening? I don't recognize what's happening right now to the movement. And in terms of what the president is saying in this Truth Social post, I haven't seen any reaction to that specifically, but it's still very much based on, well, we just want to see what's happening. We just want to know the truth and feel confident in that.
It is starting a massive firestorm on X, including some of the people that were the most vocally pro-Trump during the election cycle.
Yeah.
To the point where people are now threatening and saying, well, if you don't need us, if you think we're weaklings, if you think we're dumb, if this is what you're gonna do, we're just gonna stay home. And now you have the more devoted MAGA base saying, well, if that happens, the Democrats, you're handing them a victory, and they said, we don't care. Again, I was looking deeper into it. President Trump did not, I could not find anything that he was running a campaign rally and said, we're going to release the list and all that stuff. But he's been asked about it at 2 different occasions, said, well, we'll consider it. We'll think about it. I do think it's gross. I do think that, making comments, acknowledging that there was something that needed to be looked into. To go from that to say it's nothing. It was only Ghislaine and it was only Epstein and case closed. And that's it. There is no list after Pam Bondi said it was on her desk. Just the inconsistent every time they're called up about, well, you said this, now it changes to something else. It was,
well, what I meant was,
there is no list. Oh, by the way, there it is, but it's a fake Democrat hoax and you're dumb for believing it. It's like, well, your administration was the one telling us that you had it was coming, that it's real, that people can see justice. How are we dumb for believing you? And does that mean that your administration is dumb? I don't understand that.
Righty Right says Epstein hoax or not, it's about children being assaulted by pedophiles with no consequences.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I suppose one could say, okay, I mean, and the thing is, you have to interpret, the Epstein hoax designation along with the other hoaxes, because that's kind of how he couches it.
Yeah.
He lists several hoaxes, which we actual hoaxes that we acknowledge, and he calls them hoaxes. And we have to remember this. He calls them hoaxes not because there weren't things that happened in those contexts, but because of the way they were weaponized against him. Like that's what hoax means in Trumpese. So you have that. You have the Russia. You have the what was it, the 51 intelligence agencies, the Hunter Biden laptop, the Steele dossier. So it's not as though he's saying, I mean, just to fully acknowledge, it's not as though he's saying there was nothing there.
Right.
What he's saying is it's currently being weaponized against me and I don't like it. Yeah. That's how I'm interpreting his use of the Jeffrey Epstein hoax thing. But here's the problem. As opposed to the others, those were being weaponized against him wrongly. This one is on him.
Yeah.
It really is. That's how I'm like, this is why this whole thing is such a standout in comparison to the things that he's trying to lump it in with. It's like I don't see the connection there, bud.
And somebody was mentioning that there might not be like a formalized list. We've talked about that in the beginning. We said, we don't think it was like a punch in, time to abuse kids, punch out kind of list.
Right.
But going back to the official court case and what were related to the convictions, they said point blank, we know that there are 3 employees that are linked to this that we are not going to name due to something, and that there are known and unknown conspirators that we know engaged in the trafficking itself. So that should be, if you're saying that you have all these photos of people, you have all these videos of people, you should be able to make a accurate non-Obama, non-Democrat hoax list from that. And you're saying you're not going to give that to us. And if we keep talking about it, we're stupid. And if we're stupid for doing that, call me Simple Jack.
I mean, so there's the question over, what's in the information on, Epstein stuff. And the weird part is that the president also at one point said, if there's credible files and stuff, then Bondi should go ahead and release it, but don't release it, or it doesn't, it's a hoax. Right. Not don't release it. I want to be fair. So if they're credible files, she'd release it, but it's all a big hoax. But this is, but like you said, his administration has been part of the discussion on this. By the way, Congressman Eric Burleson tweeted last night.
He's been heavy on this stuff.
He's been really heavy on this. He says the DOJ didn't accidentally forget the client list. They're hoping you stop asking. Don't. And this was said after the president posted this, from what I can tell on the timelines. And the Congressman Burleson has already said that he has signed on to Thomas Massey's discharge petition to get all the Epstein files released. He goes on to say Americans deserve total transparency on this.
And I know people like to talk about 4D chess, right? But this would be a single issue thing, meaning that if you vote no on this, if you don't get this passed through to release it, you are specifically saying we don't want the evidence being out there. And I think that's a brilliant plan, because why would this not be a unanimous, let's get it through?
It's a separate. Thomas Massey basically has this one petition that deals with this one thing. And so, everybody can vote yes or no to put there. And so it's just, this is one of the most bizarre things. And let's be honest, this has been a chaos for going on 12 years now, with all of this. And yes, much of that is because of the absolutely unhinged, attacks and reactions to Donald Trump, which frankly, I've never really understood, going back to 2016 when he announced that he was running for president early in 2016. And so we've had this chaos that has happened. But at this point right here, I think the public, in a non-Republican or Democrat way, is basically saying there are some really powerful people getting away with stuff. We want to be shown that justice is at least being pursued here. And then suddenly we've gone from, here's the first phase of the files, because we promised transparency, to it's all a big hoax and you're stupid and foolish and a weakling. And I don't want your support if you continue to call for these files. How does that affect you? I mean, I don't think that I have misrepresented anything that he has said.
No. Hey, tell us what you think. Use our app to do so. You can just hit the little wheel of fun button and hit the little phone thing. You can call the studio. You can leave us a voicemail, and if it hits right, maybe we'll air it. Look, the app is kind of a great way, and you can go back and look at all of the audio clips that we have on this stuff, and send them to your friends and all that stuff using the app. So be sure to get that everywhere you can get apps.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
My opinion is it's weird.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, we had some overnight thunderstorms roll through in spots, but the weather has generally settled down this morning. Let's be ready, though, for another round of rain and storms this afternoon with a weak cold front in the neighborhood. This time, storm chances highest from St. Louis to the south. Otherwise, partly cloudy, not as hot as yesterday, 87 this afternoon. An isolated shower or storm possible tonight, down to 72 for the low, and more of the same for Friday. Partly cloudy, chance of storms, high of 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Tired of the same old pizza chains? Boring. What a delicious alternative? Look no further. Woodson Stonefire has you covered, offering a delicious, mouth-watering alternative with a wide menu that surely offers something for everyone's taste. Our pizza will have you saying wow. Family-owned and operated, in addition to being locally owned. Pizza is truly our passion. Woodson Stonefire, 3120 West Clay in St. Charles. Call 636-493-0532 to place your order now.
Hey, folks, the Clayton Sleep Institute and my friend Dr. Ojal back supporting free common sense conservative radio. ClaytonSleep.com, treating the full range of adult and pediatric sleep disorders from sleep apnea to insomnia, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement, and narcolepsy. What an awesome place. New comfy setting for the sleep lab. ClaytonSleep.com, 314-645-5855. Better sleep, better life.
JC's Wayback Machine.
We'll remember the moon landing this week in '69, the 50th anniversary of the Fleetwood Mac album, and Michael J. Fox's visit in '91. Plus a rare A-list interview with Linda Ronstadt, who turned 75 this week. We talked with the great Jimmy Griffin and give away some El Monstero tickets. All that, along with great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s, presented by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Susie Moore of Red State here. It was great filling in for Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Today, Tim is going to be back broadcasting live from the ALEC.org conference in Indianapolis.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Okay, let me quickly kind of read another comment here on Rumble. Allison, the deep state has been hoaxing the world for, let me move my cursor, has been hoaxing the world for so long, not just attacking Trump, but harming American citizens. I want the deep state exposed.
Yes.
People trying to assassinate our president. I don't, if there was more to that, Allison, it got cut off. I did not see it there, but yeah, I mean, I think it's the deep state exposed thing is what I think a lot of people have been demanding. And I got to tell you, this turn has surprised me with Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
Because it's basically, I have said there's nothing here, even after I've said there's something here. Now he's going to lash out and basically say, well, you say you're supporting me, so do what I say.
Right.
I don't care what politician it is. I've just got too much of a mean streak in me. I'm not reacting well to that.
So we do have a good friend, Matthew, who wants to make a comment.
Yeah.
But is it too early for me to put a quarter into my Thomas Massey's doing the right thing again?
No, absolutely. Put
Go
it in
ahead.
there, yeah.
We need to get a little sound effect.
Yeah,
the quarter dropping into a bucket or something
Yes.
that. Okay, I'm sorry. You said Matthew?
Yep.
Hey, Matthew, you're on News Talk STL. I mean, give me your thoughts when you hear that this is the take that the president's having now, particularly towards his own base. How does that make you feel when you hear and read that?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. It makes me feel betrayed. It makes me feel angry. It makes me feel like Trump's psychological makeup is that he doesn't want to be wrong. He doesn't want to admit he's wrong. He doesn't want his base to say Bondi's got to go. If the base MAGA people agree with what Trump's saying, it's gravy. It's easy going. But he's being belligerent about it. It's not going to make me stop supporting his other good policies, deportation and stopping woke and almost everything else he's doing. But it's very bad, and I don't know. I feel real bad about it.
Yeah, no, I get it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I think you articulated that really well. Hey,
Yep.
Matthew, thank you so much.
Thanks, Matthew.
And that's the other part of this is this is overshadowing a lot of progress that's being made on some really important areas that would have never happened had the election gone the other way.
Yeah, it strikes me as weird as how basically self-inflicted this particular wound is.
Yeah.
Because it's doing what he's saying that the Epstein hoax is doing, right? He's saying, well, this is just, your calls, that this is how he's couching it. Your calls for the Epstein files are distracting from the good work. But we're saying, no, your covering up the Epstein files is distracting from the good work you're doing. So we're on opposite sides of looking at this same issues. Like all of the good stuff you're doing is being overshadowed by this, but you've got the wrong view on it.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a lot of comments, coming in, at least on Rumble.
Yeah.
So Gabe's going to be checking in on Facebook, and you can tweet at us and call us on this. Now, speaking of the deportations here, Matthew just brought that up. I want to mention this here because what I want to do is I want to take a little bit of a breather and give everybody time to send in comments because we're going to let's come back to this at what do you think? I think probably
7 o'clock hour.
Let's do it right off the bat at 7:05.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to come back to this, and I've also got that extended sound clip when President Trump was asked basically to clarify his tweet.
Right.
And so I've got the sound clip from the Oval Office. From him there. So we're going to have even more context directly from him. Now, obviously, one of the biggest wins that he's got right now is the deportation of illegal aliens.
Yep.
And even though you got the deep blue areas that were never going to vote Republican no matter what, up in arms, literally, you've got the fact that he said he was going to close the border day one.
He kind of did.
Well, within literally like a week and a half. He shut it down day one, and then they cut off the trickle of within literally days.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a massive win. Now they're able to use the resources going after the illegals. And now look, we've got an update on the situation at this pot farm in California.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot going on there still.
Mexico is threatening to sue the United States because one of their citizens died.
Oh, I saw this.
Okay, this is freaking insane.
It's crazy.
Okay, so there was I think he was about 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Jaime, Jaime. I mean, in English we would say Jamie. I mean, that's how Jamie Allman spells his name, but I think it would be Jaime in Mexico. Jaime Alanis Garcia died.
Mm-hmm.
So when the raid happened, he basically ran, climbed up on a 30-foot rooftop, somehow tripped or otherwise lost his balance or fell through something, cracked his skull, broke his neck, and he died a short time later.
Right.
Ouch.
Yeah. I mean, so
he died fleeing.
He died fleeing. But here's the thing. Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, ICE, they all said we actually weren't chasing him.
he just ran.
I mean, there was not a pursuit.
Right.
I mean, now they found him. I'm sure they were going to arrest him because everybody agrees he was in the country illegally. But they said we actually weren't chasing him.
Right.
When he did this.
Like, it's not as though there was a foot chase. It's not one of
Right.
those scenes from a movie where it's like, oh no, he jumped a fence and then the cops jump a fence after. That wasn't actually
that
happening.
didn't actually happen.
He saw the helicopters and he started booking it.
Wait, so he wasn't sitting there saying, "I'll go to Alligator Alcatraz." They said, "It's too late for that, boy," and they pushed him off.
Right, yeah.
Made it look like no.
That's
So
a-
you're
that's a
saying
different
that's
scene.
not what happened.
That's a different scene, different movie. Yeah,
exactly. So
too late for that, boy.
and so the funny part is one of our bosses, Joe, brought this in. I think you'd already headed off to your other office. And the headline is farm worker critically injured during Ventura County immigration raid dies, family says. And it goes on to say a farm worker who suffered serious injuries during an immigration raid at a cannabis farm near Camarillo on Thursday died, according to family. In a post shared on social media, Jaime, Alanis Garcia's niece said he died on Saturday afternoon. A GoFundMe page set up by his family to help cover medical and funeral expenses was updated with following statement that he had died. And so basically they said he was possibly running from
Possibly.
Or
he was so far on the other side of the farm, he was just working on that roof.
Right.
And he fell.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta abide by OSHA regulations when you're doing
this. Is what Joe, he goes, guys, see if you can see what's where, the word. Of course, I've got a journalism background. Here's the paragraph. A woman who reached out to Eyewitness News said her family member, Garcia, fell 30 feet off a building while he was possibly trying to run from federal agents chasing him. He was taken to the hospital with a broken neck and skull. Well, they said, yeah, we actually weren't chasing that guy.
We weren't over on that
In
side
other
of the
words,
farm.
we hadn't found him yet. So he was running, but they weren't chasing him. So
Remember, guys, farms are big.
Yeah.
They're big.
The president of Mexico is threatening legal action and threatening to sue the United States because of one of their citizens died while our law enforcement was trying to enforce the laws that he broke.
It's crazy. That's wild to me.
Corporeal being says self-deportation plus
Oh.
one.
Oh snap!
Ready Right says, talk about getting high.
Oh, what have I done by opening up this can of
Our
worms?
people are savage.
Oh my god!
In the best way possible.
Wow.
I love you guys so much.
Wow.
I wish I was
Okay.
that clever.
Keep it up.
Man.
Keep it up.
I mean, but now Mexico's threatening the legal action. Basically, look at what you've done.
It's like,
huh?
Did we? It's like, what are you talking
Look
about?
at what? Who did?
It's so
I
crazy.
mean, this is the equivalent. Do you remember I guess it was back in the 90s, you'd see these stories of like somebody was burglarizing a house and tripped and hurt themselves and then tried to sue the homeowner.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of reminds me of that.
I remember distinctly there was one where some guy, broke through like the plate glass window of a front house, and he cut himself on the glass, and he sued the homeowner.
Yeah,
and he won.
And then there was another one. I mean, that was actually parodied and mocked in that Jim Carrey movie, Liar Liar.
Yeah.
You remember they actually did a parody in that movie on that. But then there was another one where a guy sued a McDonald's. He was robbing them at gunpoint and a security guard shot him. And he sued, and his lawyer actually argued he doesn't give up his right to not be shot just because he's robbing them. That's actually something the guy said.
Yes.
Well, at least on the bright side, ICE did not call this guy trashy. So
that's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
So that
That's
didn't
true.
happen. Exactly.
They
Okay.
were not impolite to him on social media.
We've got the news dump coming up here in just a second. 7:05. I've got more from the president. I mean, I think I'm objectively saying this when I say that he lashed out against a lot of the people in his own base. I want to know how that makes you feel.
Yeah, and apparently we're all going to die
yeah.
because public broadcasting won't be able to tell us about storms or something like that. We've got the update in the news dump in about 3 minutes.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, Jamie Ullman here with my common sense brother, Rob Very, owner of STL Bath and Renovation. And let me tell you something, your home is your castle, but so is your bathroom. Rob, how can you make it beautiful?
Jamie, if you're tired of cleaning, you love the tile, but you hate the grout, we can give you man-made or natural stone in your bathroom for your floors and walls, but no grout. Easy to maintain.
And beautiful. All kinds of selections as well.
More than you can count.
STLBR.com, St. Louis Bath and Renovation, STLBR.com. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Jamie.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Taste the difference that fresh local makes. Anthony's Produce supports our local farmers by bringing you the finest locally grown produce in town. From the juiciest peaches and melons to the sweetest corn and ripest tomatoes, we've got it all. Plus, discover our amazing selection of locally made jams, salsas, pickles, and fresh sourdough breads. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6:30, and Sundays, 8 to 5. 701 Jungerman Road in St. Peters, or visit anthonysproduce.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. When life changes, you need someone you can trust. That's Todd Sivia. At Sivia Law, they're dedicated to helping you through all of life's transitions, specializing in estate planning and elder law. With 7 convenient locations in the area, expert guidance is always close by. Call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com. Don't forget, first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me get a free $300 strategy session. Civia Law, helping you protect what matters most.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Okay, so by the way, other stuff's happening.
There are other things happening in the world, yeah, by the way. Yeah.
The Republicans barely scrape off a tiny percentage of the federal funding, federal spending, I'll say this. And as Gabe was referring to a second ago, the Democrats say people are going to die.
No.
Jeez.
Help us.
All right, but we are going to, I've got the basic details in just a second, but 7:05, I want to know how you feel about this. Okay, so I've got an extended sound clip from the president. He was asked about that He was asked about that social media post where, he kind of lashed out at Republicans and at MAGA supporters who are still calling for the Epstein files to be released. He was asked about that in the Oval Office, and I've got his response. So his words, unedited, unclipped. I'll just play those for you. Cardinals preparing not necessarily for the second half of the season because the All-Star game was a little bit later than normal, but the post-All-Star part of the season. Now we're going to find out whether they're going to be contenders or not. It is coming up on 6:50. Let's go and dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
All right, very, very narrow vote, 51-48. Republicans in the Senate very early this morning, actually, passed that bill to claw back about $9 billion in federal spending. This includes funds for public broadcasting and for foreign aid. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the bill is cutting wasteful spending, but it's really not that much.
Talking about here is 1/10 of 1% of all federal.
I think you got an autoplay going there at the same time.
Okay, I'm going to play that again. Thank you. Let me find here. Yep, there it is. Autoplay. There is the autoplay. You're right.
I hate those things.
Why do you people have their websites with autoplay? All right. Anyway, here's John Thune saying, yeah, we are cut spending, but it's not that much.
What we're talking about here is 1/10 of 1% of all federal spending. 1/10 of 1% of all federal spending. But it's a step in the right direction.
Okay, so the Republicans who voted against the rescission packages are the usual suspects. It's Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. So 51-48, meaning somebody did not vote. Somebody wasn't there.
Yeah.
Or, voted something else, present or whatever. So one less vote and the Republicans were going to have to bring out the Vance.
Yeah, it's really crazy that just for, and by the way, this, Jonathan mentioned, the percentage of the overall budget.
Right.
If you want to just say of the deficit, the $1.84 trillion deficit, it was less than 0.5% of the total deficit. Like we're really just barely scraping off any on this thing. It's really crazy how hard it was to fight Republicans for this very, very modest cutback.
So this is basically, you've got a bill on your credit card for $10,000 and you're like, okay, I can send you $100.
Yeah.
Essentially.
That's it.
Basically. All right. Senator Chuck Schumer being apocalyptic about this, especially with the cuts to public broadcasting.
This is a dark day for America, a dark day for rural Americans, a dark day for any American who relies on public broadcasting during floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, and other disasters.
Who relies on public broadcasting during natural disasters or storms? Can somebody point out one person to me who relies on public broadcasting?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Well, and not to mention, he's acting as though it's going to go away. Like without federal funding, the entire thing just kind of is going to collapse. Even though by their own reporting, federal funding makes up about 10% or less of their budget.
Yeah, and PBS and NPR stations get a spike every time Republicans threaten to cut funding. So now that they're actually doing it, my guess is they will get a short-term spike in donations.
Right. It's so stupid. It's so stupid that is the line that they're trying to use. There really isn't a good argument to keep this.
No, and here's the thing: if you're a big PBS supporter, you love Channel 9, you're an NPR supporter. Okay, here's the thing: is they're going to be, frankly, probably freed up to be even more explicit and blunt with their worldview and their viewpoint. If anything, this is going to untether them even more so than they already feel that they are. I mean, so what are you worried about? This you can look at this as kind of a win for them. It just also means that we don't have to pay for it. I mean, I don't want to pay for MSNBC either, but they've got a right to say what they want to say. Listen, PBS stations can be a nonprofit and say what they want to say. I just shouldn't have to pay for it. And neither should you.
Absolutely.
Unless you want to. All right. Let's see here. Anthony Bernal. Now, you may not know that name, but he was an aide to former First Lady Jill Biden, and he also has pled the fifth during a deposition before the House Oversight Committee. That happened yesterday. This was the latest subpoena by the committee as part of their investigation into the cover-up of former President Joe Biden's mental decline. And this, of course, is the investigation into accusations that the auto pen was used improperly for pardons and other executive actions. Congressman Byron Donalds was asked about that, taking the fifth.
The fact that they are now hiding behind the Constitution so that they don't have to tell the truth to the American people about Joe Biden's capabilities and mental faculties while he was president of the United States is not just shocking, it's stunning, and it demonstrates the level of corruption that was going on in that administration.
Okay, so there's a crucial role for the Fifth Amendment. I don't want to go sideways on that, but the congressman's right. When you've got this kind of pattern of people who were there and saw and know what happened, and they say, I'm not telling you because it could come back on me. Well, that does tell us something.
Yeah, sure does.
Exercising your rights tells you something. So Byron Donalds is right about that.
Absolutely. He's certainly not wrong.
Yeah. All right. The Department of Homeland Security, as we mentioned yesterday, reporting that assaults on ICE officers between January and July of this year compared to January and July of last year are up 830%. Border Czar Tom Homan was on Fox on Hannity. He says the Trump administration is not backing down when the officers are being attacked.
You throw a stone at an ICE vehicle, we're going to get out, we're going to arrest you, we're going to prosecute you. You put a hands on an ICE officer, zero tolerance. You put a hand on an officer, you're going to jail.
Yeah, I think they're going to follow through on that.
Absolutely.
I mean, because right now you've got a bunch of the so-called protesters. Basically, they know that there's a certain amount of violence that's being tolerated.
Right.
And I think the word's getting out now, none.
No, zero tolerance.
None
yes.
is being tolerated.
Absolutely. Yeah, break out the beanbag rounds for the shotguns. I want to see somebody throw a rock and all of a sudden ICE agent pops out, hits him with a beanbag in the chest and puts him on the ground, you know what I mean, with handcuffs. That's what I want to see happen.
Yeah. By the way, apparently today, I just saw an AP article on this. Apparently today is another one of these supposed national days of protests against Trump and
Rage Against the Machine.
ICE, the ICE raids and all that kind of stuff.
So it's day ending in why?
Day ending in why. So apparently if you see some like ICE go home or whatever, that's what's going on with that. Although I will say around St. Louis, the last couple rounds of these haven't really amounted to much.
No,
they had that one that was really big. But since then, there's been a couple since then, those so-called national days of protest. I think people are kind of tired of it here.
Here's a question. Is our Ignore Them campaign working?
Maybe.
Yes. Because we suggested this back before, right? It was like,
Don't
you know
engage.
what? They're looking to provoke a fight. They want the counter protest. They want all that stuff. And if you just go elsewhere, ignore them, they're telling you where they're going to be. Just go around them, essentially. And maybe this will go away. It sounds like that's working.
Sometimes people think violence is a good solution. Sometimes being disappointed and realizing, wow, I look dumb and no one cares. That's deterrent.
Exactly.
That's a good deterrent.
It really is. All right. The Cardinals get one more day off because today's the last day of the All-Star break for Major League Baseball. So there's no game today, obviously. They start the second part of the series with a series in the desert. They play the Diamondbacks in Arizona tomorrow.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. Until I called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Looking for excitement, fun, and delicious food for the whole family? Piccadilly Parwan has it all. Savor our scratch-made dishes. Nothing frozen. Every bite a true delight. Roll into fun at Piccadilly Palace for roller skating or race your heart out at Piccadilly Kart Racing. Join us for happy hour Monday through Friday, 4 till 6. Free select appetizers and drink specials. And don't miss our mouth-watering Sunday family dinners. Piccadilly Parwan on Audrey Lane in Union, Missouri, or online at PiccadillyPar1.com.
Hey, it's Chris Cooper here with Serenity Wealth Management. Join us this Sunday on Serenity Wealth Now Radio. Special guest, Caleb Guns of Diamond G Hat Company is going to come in and share some updates about what's going on with Diamond G and where you can see some of his cool custom hats in our community. Sunday morning right here on News Talk STL, 9 a.m. and always at SerenityWealthNow.com and socials.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump's war on what he has identified as government waste advanced overnight in the Senate. Vote of 51-48, senators passing a bill that cancels roughly $9 billion in foreign aid, as well as funding for public broadcasting, NPR, and PBS.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune urged colleagues to support the cuts.
I appreciate all the work the administration has done in identifying wasteful spending. And now it's time for the Senate to do its part to cut some of that waste out of the budget.
The 51-48 vote came after 2 a.m. Only Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine joined Democrats in opposing the legislation.
Correspondent Jennifer King says the bill now heads to the House. If the spending is to be cut, tomorrow's a deadline for approval of that measure. Former FBI Director James Comey's daughter, prosecutor Maureen Comey, has reportedly been fired by the Department of Justice. That, according to two individuals familiar with the case, spoke with the AP. Maureen Comey prosecuted some high-profile cases recently, including the Jeffrey Epstein matter. President Trump proclaims the Epstein conspiracy theory, embraced by some of his supporters, a big hoax.
All it is the Republicans, certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats, and they're following a Democrat playbook. And no different than Russia, and all the other hoaxes.
However, those duped Republicans referred to by the president include officials who are now in the Trump administration, including top FBI brass. A lightning strike has killed a 61-year-old man, injured 13 people in Jackson Township, New Jersey. Happened last evening at a Cub Scout event at an outdoor archery range. 7-year-old boy among those injured. Watching Wall Street this morning, ahead of the opening bell, the Dow futures down 70 points, NASDAQ futures up 3. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Are you over the age of 55 and want to secure your wealth with physical gold and silver? We are Advantage Gold, the #1 customer-rated gold company in America. We have been helping investors take their 401ks and retirement accounts and diversify them into physical precious metals like gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Call us right now, 800-900-8000. Just call 800-900-8000 and claim your free gold investing starter kit. Also learn how you might qualify for up to $10,000 in free gold and silver. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Please consult your tax or financial advisor. Call us at 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, we had some overnight thunderstorms roll through in spots, but the weather has generally settled down this morning. Let's be ready, though, for another round of rain and storms this afternoon with a weak cold front in the neighborhood. This time, storm chances highest from St. Louis to the south. Otherwise, partly cloudy, not as hot as yesterday, 87 this afternoon. An isolated shower or storm possible tonight, down to 72 for the low, and more of the same for Friday. Partly cloudy, chance of storms, high of 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Transform your furry friend at Dapper Dog. Personalized grooming for dogs and cats of all breeds, featuring creative color treatments and luxurious spa services with quick turnaround and one-on-one care. Let your pup play all day in our bark park Monday through Friday. Need overnight boarding? We accept only 10 families at a time for truly personalized care. No extra charges for playtime, medications, or potty breaks, so your pet gets the attention they deserve. In St. Peters and in Troy, or at youdapperdog.com. That's youdapperdog.com.
The Napoli heritage of fine dining continues with Napoli Kirkwood. Napoli Kirkwood, now open. So add that to Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. And don't forget about Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district, Chesterfield Valley. All of those locations, plus now, open Napoli Kirkwood.
Mike Ferguson,
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer,
I triple saw stereo!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, here's just a quick preview of what we're going to talk about here.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work.
Okay, so I'm going to play the rest of what he had to say about that here in just a second. Let me know. I'm sure you've heard the news. And here's the thing with stuff like this, especially with media coverage of Donald Trump, you always have to be skeptical.
Absolutely. Because
always have to.
they do not have his interest at heart,
Well,
for sure.
Yeah.
And they don't have yours
Right.
either.
Yeah.
So when the media reports something, you got to be very careful. You got to be very concerned about context and things like that. But I think we're doing a really good job here of making sure everybody understands what the context is.
Yeah, because I want to keep this in context. I mean, we've gone from the Trump White House literally calling in social media influencers, handing out booklets that said phase 1 of the Epstein files, Epstein case, phase 1, to promising more, to going to, well, case closed. There's nothing there other than Ghislaine Maxwell definitely deserves to be in prison.
Right.
To say there are no clients, there are no perpetrators, even though we know there are victims, to now saying it's the Jeffrey Epstein hoax and none of it exists.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if I take something out of context, please call me out in front of thousands of people. Did I take any of that out of context?
Not at all.
I mean, if I do, call me. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Do it. Okay. So the president was asked about his now infamous social media post.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I want to necessarily take the time to read the entire thing.
Sure.
But let's see here. Let's read just a couple parts of it. Let me pick it up kind of in the middle here.
Yeah, I think they haven't learned their lesson is probably about where it picks up.
Okay, go ahead and pick it up right there.
Sure. And this is after he's kind of listed the previous media hoaxes
that were hoaxes.
Yeah, they were trying
that he's right about.
Yes, they were trying to weaponize various scandals against him. So he picks up from there. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history, and all these people want to talk about with strong prodding by the fake news and the success of our Dems is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like I don't need your look. I've seen this happen in entertainment media a lot recently. You know, we were talking not a couple days ago about the Superman movie and certain things and how Hollywood has taken a turn and how the people who promote them have had a deleterious effect on their ability to make any money. And one of the things that you can always tell, it's almost like a tell, is when they say, well, we don't want your support, we don't need your support, or go watch something else, or maybe this isn't for you. Any of those types of phrases being used is kind of like a death knell. It's a tell that, well, I'm just gonna let the chips fall where they may, and it usually ends very, very badly for people when they say stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is not a good move.
Okay, so one of the reporters in the Oval Office asked President Trump and basically asked him. She specifically asked him to clarify his statement. So normally,
Give him a chance to walk it back. Honestly,
yeah, I mean, so here's the thing: is that normally conventional wisdom is you don't play a soundbite that's like more than 35 seconds. In order to keep the president's words in context, because I can grab any clip and make him sound better or worse than what. So I'm going to play the entire answer, which is about 1:40 long. So
you need the full context here.
Yeah, we want the full context. And then let me know how this makes you feel when you hear him say this and when you read that social media post as well.
You said this was all a hoax. Has your attorney general told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen?
No, it's not the attorney general. No, I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work. The Democrats are good for nothing other than these hoaxes. They're bad for policy. They're bad for picking candidates that can get elected. Like in New York, we have a communist running. He may get elected too, actually, but he'll destroy the city. No, it's I call it the Epstein hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements, we've had a great gentleman yesterday, as you know, went on CNBC and he made the statement that Trump may go down as the greatest president of all in the United States. And instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all of the things we've done, including the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people.
Wow. Ouch. That hurts. I mean, honestly, wait, you're calling me stupid for being concerned about this. And I don't like the mischaracterization that we're just concerned with Epstein, who died 6 years ago. It's not. Epstein is just the figurehead of the organization. We're using Jeffrey Epstein's name as shorthand for the giant human trafficking ring that was operated, through his channels, through his contacts on his island, all that stuff. So we're talking about there's got to be more than just him and Maxwell. That's what we're saying. That's our argument is there are more than just those two involved in hurting, people. And we want to make sure that the people involved have been dealt with and get justice served to them.
Yeah, which is what we've been saying the whole time, and it's what was said before the election. It was, I mean, so here's the question I've got. When he says things like stupid Republicans, weaklings, stupid people, and he's specifically referring to his and his party's base.
Yeah.
And again, guys, if I'm taking this out of context and I'm twisting his words, please call me out if I do that. I don't think I am here, but what's your reaction? Because people have invested energy, money, activism. They've sacrificed familial relationships. They've sacrificed friendships. There has been a divide right down into households over people fighting for not even just the Republican, but the MAGA movement in particular, because Donald Trump's been the center of such polarization in the country. Now, I'm saying that carefully because, some of it, he is definitely a polarizing figure, and some of it's not his fault. Some of it is the unhinged attacks on him. But then to say, if you are continuing to call for the Epstein files and the information, you're a weakling. I don't want your support.
You're stupid.
You're stupid. Guys, he's not he's talking to a lot of the people who vote Republican. He's talking to a lot of people in red caps.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I've tried to be very generous with finding some sort of, maybe we're reading too much into specific wording and not getting the context. You can't sit there and go from there is no file, case closed, to now it's a hoax. And if you don't believe us, after Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and Kash Patel all said, we have it, we're going to release it, we were trusting you. So are you saying that we're dumb for trusting you and the people that you told us to trust? I mean, that there's no other way around that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really difficult.
Rumble here. Rare Camellia. Hey, Camellia. Great to see you. The underlying issue is that the idea that the elites are above the law.
Yes. That's it.
101. He insulted his base, Mike. Corporeal being. Still better than Kamala.
Obviously. I think we're all in agreement there.
That's the sad part.
And then he goes on to say, but I bet more than 50% of MAGA is for the release of the Epstein files. I bet you it's a high percentage.
I think it's like 80%.
Yeah,
like I haven't seen many people in MAGA say, well, maybe I don't think I've seen one actual MAGA person say, you know what, he's right, we should drop it.
Right.
I haven't seen one of those posts. Have you?
So Charlie Kirk and some of these other, Ben Shapiro, a lot of these big, like, again, influencers are not the end all be all, but when these are people that are now shifting the thing saying, I just trust a plan, trust a process.
Oh, are they going that way?
They are doing it. So Charlie Kirk on his podcast literally said, I got a call from Trump and I will no longer be talking about this. I'm going to trust what the administration says, and you should all too. And that's
really
it. And people that are big Charlie Kirk fans were in his comments saying, well, if Charlie Kirk thinks that way, then he must know something we don't. Let's just let.
Okay, so it started already.
See, I'm not a big fan of his because I think he does get bought off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I mean, I'm trying to hold off on my personal. That's why I'm trying to ask questions here. Righty, right? We want the list of the guilty. Period. Allison, I absolutely do not support that statement, but I still support President Trump. Can't imagine what he's gone through. Assassination attempts. Many hoax tried to jail him, tried to bankrupt. Wrong statement. Yeah. Okay. I get that. Let me see here. Allison also goes on to say, "Where's Bongino?"
Yeah. He has been conspicuously absent during this entire debacle.
Yeah. Jay Monty, our buddy Jay Monty, what he is saying is that the whole thing never happened? ?
No, I think he's saying that it's being weaponized against the administration wrongly.
But he's saying the whole thing's a hoax.
No, well, that's what I mean by hoax. That's what I'm saying. We got to make sure that we're couching what he's saying properly.
I've heard a lot of people, and Jay Monty asked this question. He says he and Maxwell were arrested, meaning Epstein, Maxwell were arrested for nothing. Then let her go.
Right? Yeah, I don't think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, but they did say there's no client list or.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you read it,
that's where this thing gets complicated and muddy.
When you get there, it gets gross.
I mean, you guys are telling me you believe Jeffrey Epstein existed? What are you guys foolish? Are you silly?
You fools. No, okay, so here's what I think they should have done. I think they should have, if let's say specific names, let's say specific things are tough to come by, or they have other deleterious effects if certain things were to get out. If you said accomplice 1, accomplice 2, and accomplice 3 are at Rikers, and you say accomplice 4 was killed during an attempted raid, and you don't even name them. Just say, and client 1, client 2, and client 3 are currently serving these many years in this. If you just released that, I think we would have been satisfied.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people would have said, okay, they did it.
Yeah, and to follow up with Camellia's post on this about the powerful being above the law, that's one of the things that got Trump elected both times.
Yes,
is him saying, I'm not going to let them abuse you, and they're not going to be above the law. And and that was one of the things that the populist movement that is MAGA was fired up and unified about. And so that's why I want to know kind of how this hits you all.
You want to give me more information? You want to take the place of what I trust? Turn your colored box, you look for some answers.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The people know the truth.
On NewsTalk STL. Colombo and Company.
House Republicans could bring Jill and Joe Biden in to testify as part of their White House cover-up investigation. We'll talk about it Thursday, plus Mo Rep Justin Sparks and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalk STL.
Are you tired of chiropractors who rush treatments and overcharge? At Dr. Toby's place, Dr. Tobin Lingefelter takes a different approach.
I believe in listening to my patients, understanding their needs, and treating the whole person.
Whether it's back pain, headaches, or joint issues, Dr. Toby is committed to your complete wellness journey.
I'm not satisfied until you're feeling your best.
Dr. Toby's place, where your wellness journey begins. Call 314-221-4913 or visit softwavemo.com. That is softwave, W-A-V-E, mo.com.
We published something on our station Facebook page the other day. Our friends, the Wallners, Wallner home selling team, we were kind of reminiscing. Hey, remember when they were in the studio? They've been great partners of this radio station. And there was a picture of us in the studio with the Wallners. Gabe was in there. I was in there. Rodney and Jen were in there. And it was, I think, from 2022 or 2023, because we were already here in the studio. And what jumped out at me is I was wearing one of my favorite T-shirts, my Battlehawks T-shirt. And I couldn't believe that I looked like that. I showed Gabe that picture. I went, did I really look like that not that long ago? Guys, I was fat. I'm not kidding. I looked at that. If you go to our Facebook page and find that from, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days ago. And of course, the last several months, I've met my friends at Nutrition Stop. And now I'm eating clean. I'm eating healthy. I've gotten serious about my health, which is why I get my food from Nutrition Stop. NutritionStop.com, by the way, to learn more. And I am probably the leanest and healthiest I've been in almost 20 years, to the point where I was stunned to see a picture of myself from not that long ago. Jerome has said a number of times, we got to retake your picture, Mike. You look different. I ran into a teammate that I had missed several games because he's got some other stuff going on. First thing he said to me, what have you been doing? I've been getting my food from Nutrition Stop. I have gotten serious about having healthy, real food. Is it changing my grocery budget? No, but it's changing what I put into my body. Nutrition Stop is at 4101 Mexico Road in St. Peters, basically right off of Cave Springs Road and Mexico Road. So not too far off Cave Springs and I-70. They've got nutritional supplements. They've got the groceries, like my favorite, the ground bison. They've got, farm to directly from the farm to you, vegetables and fruits. And they've got non-toxic things like house cleaners, and they've got non-toxic personal hygiene objects. So all of these things that, for instance, a lot of people in the MAHA movement are talking about, the RFK, what he's talking about, RFK Jr., you don't have to wait for a law to be passed. You don't have to wait for regulations. You can say, I don't want that stuff. Therefore, I'm not going to give it to my family. I'm not going to feed my family with it. And if you want to know what that can do for you, I'm telling you, look at me, literally look at me. I am 53 years old, and I actually saw an ab in the window, in the mirror the other day. Now, I don't have a six pack, but I saw one. There's a hint. And this has to do with eating real, healthy food. That's the best investment you can make in yourself. NutritionStop.com. Tell them that Mike was bragging about him. And listen, if you get any questions, they're passionate about this. They will guide you in the right way. You want to start your journey to better health? Then just go in there and ask Ryan or ask Jody or ask Laura, ask Zach, ask any of them, and they will get you started. And they are there to help, and they're passionate about it. And they have been doing this in Nutrition Stop for decades. Truly the experts. That's who I trust. That's where I go with my questions, and that's where I go for my food. And it's paying off for me. It'll pay off for you as well. NutritionStop.com.
NewsTalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on NewsTalk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, News Talk STL listeners, this is Levi, CEO of Reach Reproductive Health. There was a huge gap left when the biggest pregnancy center in St. Louis had to close their doors right after Amendment 3. But by God's grace and power, Reach has been able to step into that space. We have acquired Thrive centers and are continuing operations in greater St. Louis. I have a request for you. Would you pray and consider getting to know Reach more? We are here to see babies saved and families transformed by the power of Christ. Get to know us on our Reach community website, outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, I guess PBS and NPR are going to have to compete in the marketplace like everybody else.
it's kind of crazy. What is happening today?
Let me do a spoiler alert.
People are going to die.
People are going to die.
Going to die, Mike.
That's the thing is, this is a cliche joke that we make on the right.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Chuck Schumer was like, this is a dark day. People rely on NPR and PBS for storm warnings. He actually freaking said that.
He actually said it.
Yeah.
So one of our good friends, Steve, who's a regular caller, when he heard that, he was like, I don't want to go on air, but I just wanted to ask, when has he ever cared about rural areas and flyovers?
Good Lord. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of a spoiler here, because what we're talking about is the Republicans barely scraped together enough votes to pass that rescission bill that the president had sent. House Republicans, they basically were like, good, let's do it.
Yeah.
Go.
Do the thing.
Cut stuff. Yeah, we've talked to Eric Burleson. We've talked to Bob Onder. They're like, yes. We've spoken with Senator Eric Schmidt. He's like, let's do this. And it was 51-48. So somebody didn't vote in the Senate, obviously. I don't know who that was that didn't vote. I could probably look it up, but I don't care that much. Two Republicans, the usual suspects, Murkowski and Collins, voted against cutting the funding. And this is about $1 billion for public broadcasting between PBS and NPR. And it's probably some of that with Corporation for Public Broadcasting as well. And then about $8 billion in the 4 and 8. Does this end 4 and 8 in the country? Not even close. But this was a list of things that President Trump said, yeah, we don't need. And he was right. And PBS, the Republicans over and over and over have threatened to cut their funding. I don't think they've ever been serious until now. And so now it's been through the House, been through the Senate. There will probably be a lawsuit, which will fail, but it will probably stall it. The president obviously is going to sign this rescissions into place because it was his rescission bill. And I'm glad that he said it out there. Here's the thing, guys. Channel 9's not going off the air in St. Louis.
No, it's not.
It's not going anywhere. This isn't even the majority of their funding. And when I worked for a while in another city, in Kansas City, I was the PBS station there had one of those weekly roundup of the news type things. I was the token conservative for quite a while on that show. And so I got to know the producer, of course, a guy from Europe. They have to have somebody with an accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like a rule there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Good guy. But he was telling me once, we were having coffee or lunch or whatever. And Nick told me, he said, every time Republicans do this, our donations go up.
Sure do.
So PBS and NPR, they're wailing and screaming because they're losing, I don't know, 10, 12% of their funding or whatever it's going to be.
Probably less.
They're going to make up for it, at least in the short term. Now, this may hurt their funding overall.
Sure.
I don't know. But now they're in the marketplace and they have to compete for those donations, for those advertisements, for those grants, just like everybody else does.
Yeah. Yeah. They're going to have to sell more spots for sweaty balls.
That's right. Yeah. And the reality is that, for instance, NPR's All Things Considered podcast is really popular. It's one of the biggest podcasts in the world. Listen, I've seen the numbers.
Yeah.
Not many people are listening.
No.
Not many people are watching. And here's the thing is that Channel 9 has some really cool content. I mean, our buddy Ed Wheatley, they made that, documentary about the St. Louis Browns.
Right. That's cool stuff.
Ken Burns does his work exclusively through PBS. It's not like they don't have good stuff. It's stuff that can compete in the marketplace. There's no reason for us to be compelled to fund it. Now, if you want to fund Channel 9, now if you want to fund NPR, it's your choice.
Write a check.
You're not being told you can't fund it. You're just being told you don't have to. That's the marketplace of ideas.
Absolutely. And now, not long ago, we were, what was it, a day or two ago? I was talking about the huge numbers, like because we talk about the budget deficit being 1.8 something trillion dollars, and this $9 billion rescission is this percentage of that, and all these stuff. And if you stack the dollar bills, they could go around the planet five times. Things like that. Okay, that just shows how ridiculously large the numbers are, and I think people kind of lose the idea of what we're talking about. So I took a few zeros away and made it a little more palatable for people to understand. So let's say I won't make it a household because then it's a you fighting with your wife. But let's say you deal with an organization. Let's say you're on the board for Mike's baseball league.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
hypothetically
speaking.
Right.
And you are overspending year on year. $18,000 year on year. You're overspending $18,000 versus what your normal budget should be. So you're pulling out a credit. There's an organizational credit card. It's racked up, lots and lots of debts, like hundreds of $1,000s debt kind of thing. So you've been every year $18,000 over budget, and you say, all right, guys, we got a problem. We got to cut this back. There's no way this is not sustainable. We're going to go out of business if we keep overspending $18,000 a year. So what are your ideas? And one of the guys says, all right, one faction basically of the people on the board say, well, every month we spend about $10 on a cake. To celebrate, we have that little once a month get together thing, everybody, and we spend $10 on a cake.
That's Rick, by the way.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that anymore. It's just the cake.
Yeah,
the $10 a month. We're just gonna claw that back, and that's how we're going to save. On the budget.
Right.
So that's like $120
a year.
Yeah. $120 a year savings. Now we're overspending $18,000 a year, but we're talking about $120 a year savings. Everybody take a vote. It's like, I don't know about that, man. Are you sure that's what we wanted to? What about, hey, I always see Jenny at the counter at the bakery counter over at the supermarket where I get this, and this is gonna hurt her. You can't. How are we taking $10 a month away from Jenny?
It would be similar to that.
That's what we're talking about right now.
Oh.
You're overspending $18,000 a year, and we're arguing over $100.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know who's really going to know about this? Stephen Moore, economic advisor to President Trump. He's the newest addition to the News Talk STL lineup. We're going to talk to Stephen in just a minute. By the way, the St. Louis Baseball Forever League, it runs a very balanced budget.
Exactly.
We do an excellent job.
They do not overspend.
We do not overspend.
Now, while we get Stephen Moore on the line, Larry Connors wants us to wonder, what do the New York Times and journalism have in common?
Nothing.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Now, we had some overnight thunderstorms roll through in spots, but the weather has generally settled down this morning. Let's be ready, though, for another round of rain and storms this afternoon with a weak cold front in the neighborhood. This time, storm chances highest from St. Louis to the south. Otherwise, partly cloudy, not as hot as yesterday, 87 this afternoon. An isolated shower or storm possible tonight, down to 72 for the low, and more of the same for Friday. Partly cloudy, chance of storms, high of 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
John Beal Roofing reminds you we are in the stormy season, and that means if you have even the smallest leak in your roof, you could soon have a much bigger issue. Call to John Beal to make sure that your biggest investment is protected. That call can save you major dollars. If you do get hit during a storm, John Beal has a rapid response team. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 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 John Beal.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit vincentsjewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
Why should you care if the White House auto pen was used to sign pardons that Biden never authorized? Maybe even used to sign some legislation he never saw. Why should you care? I mean, it's not like your child using a friend to do their homework, or is it? Yes, it is. Both are fraud. While your child might get a better grade because a friend did the homework, in the Biden case, our nation suffered another drop in credibility, accountability. Recently, the New York Times did a full interview with Biden on all of this, but it was not an interview. It was a farce. Biden was questioned about the auto pen. He basically threw a blanket over it, saying, I made every decision, approved all the pardons. But he had to admit that he did not personally approve each person for a pardon. He just issued generic guidelines and let his staff follow his guidelines, his standards. What were they? The New York Times did not say, nor did the Times reach out for a response from any expert on pardons. Any Republicans for the article? Nope. I agree with political commentator Mark Halperin. The New York Times failed basic journalism 101. Raise your hand if you're surprised.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
You and I might have something in common. Back pain. I can tell you where I go for help. Esquire Sports Medicine, the spine of St. Louis. They can put athletes back on the field so they can clearly help us. Esquire Sports Medicine, hands-on chiropractic help on Big Bend, just north of Highway 40, 314-644-0885, EsquireSportsMedicine.com, EsquireSportsMedicine.com.
The Wall That Heals comes to St. Louis County July 24th through 27th at Jefferson Barracks Historic Site. This traveling replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial has brought healing to nearly 800 communities nationwide. Join us as the Vic Percelli Show broadcasts live from the Wall Thursday, July 24th from 9 till noon. Made possible by Best Buy Flooring, Patriot Heating and Cooling, and DG Firearms.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL. Until it's not. News, analysis, opinion.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on News Talk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the News Talk STL lineup just keeps getting better, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it was already pretty darn good. I'm just telling you. Starting this weekend, you're going to access a look at the economy and policy, and most importantly, what it means for you and your family from possibly the best source you can get. And I'm talking about Stephen Moore. Personal advisor, to President Trump, both in official and unofficial capacities over the years. And he joins us right now. And Stephen, let me be the first to say welcome to News Talk STL, because we're picking up your show starting this week.
Good morning, guys. Boy, that was a nice introduction. And, I've been an economic advisor to Trump for now, informally for about 9 years. But I got to tell you, the guy doesn't really need a lot of help on the economy. He knows exactly what he's doing. And look, I'm super bullish right now on the economy now that we've got the big, beautiful bill passed. So I'm feeling really good about America right now. I don't know about you guys.
Let me ask you about obviously what happened early this morning regarding the rescissions package. Republicans barely scraped up enough votes to avoid the Trump administration having to drop the Vance on them again to get this passed. But the 51-48 we're not even talking about a huge amount of money of the deficit spending. So when we talk about this little tiny chip that was that hard to get, are we in any position to hope that we can get the out of control spending under control?
I've been trying to do that for 40 years. I arrived in Washington in 1984. So it's been a long time and a long, brutal battle. By the way, when I first got started on this stuff, we were at $1 trillion budget. Now we have a $7 trillion budget. And when I got started, we had $1 trillion debt. Now we have a $37 trillion debt. So, these numbers keep getting more and more dire. But this was a big victory for just common sense. I mean, look, I don't care what people think about Sesame Street. I love Elmo. I love Cookie Monster. I just don't understand why it needs to be funded by the taxpayer. And so we are basically saying to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and NPR, go, get your own money. You don't have to get it from the taxpayers. If it's so vital, people will contribute. There's hundreds and hundreds, and as you guys know, there's hundreds of radio stations, and there's hundreds of TV stations now. Why do we need to have the taxpayers subsidize one of them? So I think that's a big victory for common sense. And then we're getting rid of a lot of the crazy foreign aid programs that have done nothing to lift people out of poverty. The only way to lift people out of poverty is through free market capitalism, not through government intervention. So I think this is a good, nice start. It's the first time in a long time I've seen the government actually get rid of some programs.
Good morning, Stephen. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So what do you make of our current inflation situation? I know that we're still a little bit, I think, off target according to the Fed, and but Trump keeps calling for them to cut rates. So where should we be? Where are we? Where are we now? And where do you think we're going with all this?
Yeah, and is demanding a 3% cut when they're usually talking about a quarter of a is a 3% maybe a tad aggressive?
Right, that's vintage Donald Trump, right? Think big. Well, listen, it's first of all, I think that Jerome Powell has to go. Trump is right about that. He has been an overtly political and incompetent Fed chairman. And, he was the one who allowed the inflation rate to go up the highest level since the 1970s. And for that alone, he should be fired. Remember when we had 9.2% inflation under Biden? Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And so that did severe damage to American families, and it was inexcusable. And so the amazing thing is that he was cutting interest rates back then when the economy was in a free fall and inflation was out of control. And now we've got fairly low inflation, and he won't lower rates, and that's because he hates Trump. And do you think it was just a coincidence, by the way, that 6 weeks before the election, he did a major rate cut? Do you think he might have been trying to put his thumb on the scale to help Kamala there a little bit? So this is a guy who has got to go. In terms of whether we should be cutting rates now, I'm kind of on the fence on that one. I'm not certainly not a 2 or 3 percentage point reduction, maybe a quarter point. But as I look at the numbers, I was looking at them this morning. We're still in the 2.5% to 3% inflation rate. Now that's a huge, much better than we had under Biden, of course, when inflation went up to 9%. But it's still a little higher than we want. And I do worry if we lower rates, you're flushing more money into the economy. And as Milton Friedman taught us, inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. So I want to be more attentive to getting that inflation rate down to the 2% target. And we still have a little bit of ways to go. And I worry that another series of rate cuts might send prices higher again.
Okay, so people are debating whether or not the implementation of the tariffs that have been put into place are having an effect. Of course, a lot of those were delayed, and we're being, the president now says, I'm going to add a bunch more on this. He has actually said he knows this will cause, I think the words he used were a sting or discomfort or disruption. So he's acknowledging this could affect prices. How much effect could those tariffs, should they go into place as promised, how much could those affect inflation in the coming months?
Well, it depends a lot on what happens with the tariffs. I mean, the whole history of the last 6 months, the first 6 months that Trump has been president, is every time he talks about tariffs, what happens to the stock market? It goes down. And what happens to the economy? It goes down. Every time he reaches a trade deal, what happens to the stock market and the consumer and business confidence? It goes up. And so it kind of depends. The answer to your question is whether Trump is able to get these trade deals. You guys have known me a long time. I'm not a tariff guy. Tariffs are taxes. I believe in free and fair trade, and the lower the tariffs, the better. Now, in some cases, by the way, Trump has actually forced other countries to reduce their tariffs on American products, and that's a good thing. I'm all for that. But look, let me keep it very simple. If you put a tariff on something, some of the cost of that tariff is going to be borne by the consumer, right? I mean, it's just mathematics. And so, yeah, I do think that the tariffs have contributed a little bit to inflation. But if the end goal is to get other countries to reduce their tariffs, then I think there's some logic to that.
So going back to the spending cuts, because I think those are a really big bugaboo for me. Right, yeah. And I kind of broke it down for our listeners not too long ago about.
Yeah. By the way, just sorry to interrupt you, but
sure.
Just to put this in perspective, we have a $7 trillion budget, and this rescission cut $9 billion out of $7 trillion.
Yeah,
so that's like what 0.2% of the budget. So, and it speaks loudly that it was such a heavy lift to just get a tiny little sliver out of the budget.
That's exactly what I was getting at, because I took a few zeros off of the number so people could understand. It's like if you're running like an $18,000 a year deficit in your personal budget, and you're saying, well, I want to cut $90 off of that, it doesn't make a difference. So what are the chances that we're going to get any real significant cuts actually coming out of any administration in the near future? And how are we going to avoid the fiscal cliff that'll I think a lot of other economists are worried about in terms of government spending?
So that's a great question. I mean, look, everybody's worried about our national debt and our runaway government, and it is a train wreck. But I'm focused on economic growth. What I tell these Republicans, because I talk to the Republicans in the House and the Senate, and I do talk to the administration folks a lot. And what I tell them is the goal should be to get the economic growth rate up to 3%. And by the way, if you just looked at the last couple of months, the revenues are starting to surge, partly because we're getting tariff revenues in, but also because wages and salaries are up. And what do you think happens to tax revenues when wages and salaries go up? They go up too, right? So my point is the best way to bring down the debt is to grow the economy. In fact, it's the only way. Now, of course, I want to take a chainsaw to some of these government programs, but if you don't have economic growth, you're not going to bring the debt down. And you get 3% growth, 3.5% growth, which we can do, especially given Trump's agenda. You start to bend that curve down because you start getting more, businesses are healthy, they pay more taxes. If businesses are started, they pay more taxes. If workers are re-entering the workforce, they're going to pay taxes. So the best way to get the budget deficit down is to get the economy booming, and Trump gets that.
All right, starting on Sunday, we're going to air your show twice, 7 a.m. and 10 p.m.
You are?
Twice.
Oh, my God, I'm so excited.
Yes.
You know what? You guys just made my day. So this is the More Money Show, and I've been doing that show on WABC in New York for about 2 years. I have I love what you guys do, and I was so envious that you got to sit in front of the microphone. I told my friend John Katzimatidis, who runs WABC, I want a show. And so now we're going to be on about 25 major stations, including yours, and very exciting. And I don't know when they're going to air that on your station, but it's called the More Money Show. Mm-hmm. And I got to have you guys on. You got to come on my show one of these days.
I would love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Sunday, the first airing is going to be 7 a.m. Sunday, and then also 10 p.m. as well. Yes. So Stephen Moore, More Money Show starting this weekend. Do you have a show website, social media, anything like that, Steve?
You know what? I have to do that. And you know what? Next time I'm on your show, I'll get you all that information. But boy, you guys made my day. I'm so excited because this is one of the most important stations in the country. And it's really cool. And we have great guests. We have Kudlow come on, and we have Art Laffer come on, and we have, Scott Besson and all the major players. And so very excited about that. And I learned the trade from you guys.
I'm excited for you too.
Yes. So welcome to News Talk STL, Stephen Moore, More Money.
Very excited.
All right.
Take care. Thanks, guys.
You got it. We'll talk to you soon. All right. 314-912-1019.
That's going to be awesome.
I mean, this is awesome. I mean, we've got so many, local programs, but, basically now Stephen Moore's our colleague. Somebody says, you hear what Stephen Moore say? Yeah, I work with him.
Yeah, that's my boy. But by the way, it's kind of getting late in the day, and late in the week. Get your 80s bump music again. What's wrong with you? Come on. Jerome's got only so much time on his hands.
And we only have so many time slots to fill with music. So if you want to get yours in, email me, Jerome, at NewsTalkSTL, and send me the hour that you listen so you can hear your request.
For Flashback Friday.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the Great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
NewsTalk STL, the Ham Institute for Free Enterprise, and the Young America's Foundation welcome Steve Forbes to Lindenwood University for an inspiring evening on how free enterprise and entrepreneurship make America great. Discover how free markets and small business drive innovation, prosperity, and opportunity. Thursday, September 18th at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center for the Arts. And this in-person event is free. Reserve your tickets now at hamlininstitute.org. Brought to you by Mid-Rivers and West News magazines.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder reminding you to check out my new show this weekend.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
Here's one of those situations where if I wrote this as like a skit, nobody would want to actually act it out because it's so ridiculous.
Oh, okay, so it's one of those like, come on, weirder than fiction kind of situations.
And a lot of weird stuff happens on the Metro in St. Louis. I mean, come on, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Now we haven't risen to New York subway levels yet, but we're getting there. We're making a run.
I was in the subways. When did I go to New York? Was that about 4 or 5 months ago? No, it was last fall. I was in New York, and I'd never actually been through the subway system. And I'm coming out of, I went from Brooklyn to wherever, Manhattan or whatever, and I'm going up the steps, and there's this big splotch of red, and I'm like. I think is that somebody's blood?
Did somebody die here?
I think what am I looking at? And I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so get this. I saw this on Channel 5's website. So there was this apparently this bus ride from not necessarily hell. So let's not go the full Dante on this. Maybe one of the upper rungs of it, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. So this is the makings of a Not Today Satan story.
Yeah. So here's what happened is apparently a few passengers, and this was a late night on Monday, so just a couple days ago, late night bus route. And there were some people who were going to ride this, and this is the one that goes up on Page. And so they get on the bus, but the driver's not driving, and he's like, there's something broken on the door on the back.
It's like 11:30 p.m.
Right, 11:30 p.m. on Monday. And so the driver's finally like, you know what? I'm driving my route. So he goes, and then the driver warned them, don't use the back door because the back door is broken.
And by back door, you mean the back,
like the emergency hatch.
The emergency hatch, right. or the second
Maybe it was the second thing.
Get on board.
One of those, yeah.
Okay.
And so, I guess it'd be the second side door because those to the Metro doesn't have back door hatches.
Right. I think that's a utility area.
Right. And so, then he started to go, and then one of the riders tells Channel 5, let me just read the article. The worried rider said the bus driver then asked him to, quoting, hold down the bus door so the bus could take off. So the driver is asking the passengers to hold the bus door shut while they are riding in St. Louis.
Okay. First, he asked me to pull the door closed as hard as I could. I did that, but that didn't work. Yes, I was afraid because I didn't know if the door was going to pop out.
Oh my goodness. So the door did not pop out.
Yeah, because he and his coworker kept holding tightly onto the door.
So there were like 8 or 9 people on the bus, and so they're going down and this is the one that goes on Page Avenue.
Yeah.
And so they're going down the road with multiple people trying to keep the door shut.
Just riding like
on
this.
A moving bus.
Just riding like this. Just holding the thing. I could. This sounds hilarious. It absolutely sounds like a skit from some sort of comedy show or a scene from a comedy movie.
Yeah. And so they're like, I don't want to let go. I mean, first of all, if you're all in your seat and the door opens, I don't think you're going to be sucked out of a bus that's moving
that's not how
an
that
hour.
works.
No.
Yeah.
But in a statement, Metro Transit, I'm reading Channel 5's story on this. Metro Transit said, quoting, our Metro Transit operations and safety team are conducting an investigation of the incident referenced in the video. Initial findings show there was a minor door issue on a Metro bus that required a system reset for safe operation. While the bus was stopped, the operator asked passengers to briefly hold the doors during the system reset. Although well-intended, passengers should not have been engaged with this process, nor was there any need to hold the doors. Once the system had been reset, the doors were safe, secure, and functioning normally. But if you're on the bus and the driver's like, hold the door shut.
Hodor.
So I was playing the video for stream watchers, and these guys are like leaning back, like holding on for dear life. And the first thing I thought is like, did nobody have like a bungee cord?
Right, exactly. Strap it down, man. Oh, that's wild. That is wild to me.
And so that passenger who you just read that quote from, his name's Keith Smith.
Yeah.
Calls himself Captain Save a Bus.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And it goes on to say that he's thinking twice before he rides the Metro again.
Man, it's been a long time since I've had to ride public transportation, but this sounds right.
Yeah, it kind of
sounds
tracks,
legit.
Right?
It tracks. Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
I mean, that's
Captain Save a Bus.
Captain Save a Bus. I mean, I'm trying to, I kind of feel bad for the driver because it's, I mean, like he wants to go home. It's probably the end of his shift.
Yeah.
He just wants to get out of here, but he's probably not supposed to drive if the doors aren't shut.
Right. He's like, hey, this system needs a reboot. He's like, I just need to finish my route and go home.
Yeah. I got stuff to do. That thing's on TV.
I just got to go down Page and I'm done.
I'm hungry.
Well, yes.
I get it, but dude, it's not real good judgment to go, okay, I'm going to put the bus in motion.
Right.
And I need you guys to stand by the door and hold it shut.
Now, the technical explanation of it about there's a system reboot and things like that is like, okay, I guess. But why are they in that situation? Why are passengers in the situation where, in order to prevent the accidental, spilling out of an individual into the road as the bus is moving, means I have to grab this door and lean back and hold on for dear life as we go down Page?
I mean, of course, this driver is kind of the old school, because you remember like on the school bus back in like the 80s, and it's like, don't stick your hand out the window.
Oh yeah,
hit something and take off, and somebody did. The drivers were basically like, I guess you're going to learn the hard way. When you go back to your house, you've only got one hand.
Right.
It's your fault. I'm telling your mom, and she'll back me up on that.
Absolutely.
I've got a great evening planned for you. We start with dining at the Oak Street Inn Lounge in Connellville. We enjoy sunset on the rooftop, then down to the Speakeasy. Just one visit, you're going to see why I'm always talking about the Oak Street Inn and Lounge. Plus, you might want to plan a staycation, a romantic getaway. Check out OakStreetInnandLounge.com for various events this summer. Oak Street Inn and Lounge, Cottleville. Oak Street Inn and Lounge, Cottleville.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
Hey, it's Chris Cooper here with Serenity Wealth Management. Join us this Sunday on Serenity Wealth Now Radio. Special guest, Caleb Guns of Diamond G Hat Company is going to come in and share some updates about what's going on with Diamond G and where you can see some of his cool custom hats in our community. Sunday morning right here on News Talk STL, 9 a.m. and always at SerenityWealthNow.com and socials.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Some congressional Republicans want to stop communist China from purchasing land in the U.S., including agricultural property.
Senators Rick Scott of Florida, Tom Cotton of Arkansas, Kevin Cramer of North Dakota, and Katie Britt of Alabama introduced the Not One More Inch or Acre Act. We give Mr. Trump clear authority to prohibit all future land purchases by the Chinese Communist Party and force the divestment of already owned property in cases of national security protection. Senator Scott said in a statement, quote, "It's alarming that CCP-linked entities have been quietly buying up U.S. farmland, often strategically located close to our military bases." Bernie Bennett in Washington.
The House is facing a Friday deadline if it's going to approve a bill would cancel $9 billion in planned federal spending. It's foreign aid money along with funding for NPR and PBS. The bill cleared the Senate in a very close vote early this morning. Americans went shopping last month. Retail sales rebounding 0.6% in June, following a steep decline in May. President Trump facing an uproar over his administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Hoping to move on from the issue, the president is now criticizing his supporters over the Epstein conspiracy theories.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
He clearly views the case as a distraction, but his vice president, FBI director, deputy FBI director, and son Don Jr. have all publicly pushed for the release of the Epstein files, including the sex trafficker's so-called client list. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Pop star Connie Francis has died, a top performer of the pre-Beatles era. She was a regular on the charts from 1957 to 64. Connie Francis was 87 years old. Wall Street Dow futures down 18. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia. I got a tour of their headquarters. I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. a wireless company that actually stands for something.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, we had some overnight thunderstorms roll through in spots, but the weather has generally settled down this morning. Let's be ready, though, for another round of rain and storms this afternoon with a weak cold front in the neighborhood. This time, storm chances highest from St. Louis to the south. Otherwise, partly cloudy, not as hot as yesterday, 87 this afternoon. An isolated shower or storm possible tonight, down to 72 for the low, and more of the same for Friday. Partly cloudy, chance of storms, high of 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up, St. Louis.
Will you guys knock it off?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, Republicans barely scrape up enough of a vote to get a little bit of the deficit, debt, crazy, insane spending eliminated. Democrats say people are going to die.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm actually not kidding about that.
Yeah, it's a dark day in America.
Dark day in America. I've got that soundbite. We did talk to Stephen Moore about that a little bit ago. So make sure that you're subscribed to the News Talk STL podcast. Specifically, you can actually subscribe to Mike Ferguson in the morning if you want to get that.
Just hit the little Hardy thing.
Yeah, that's a really good podcast to send out to your friends and neighbors and to say, you know what, you see, here's what all this stuff actually means.
And if you have the app, you can do it directly.
Yep.
It's just a couple button pushes and you're good.
All right, everybody's talking about this, so I've got to ask. So guys, we're going to go into more depth at 8:20 here, but I've got the basic details. How do you feel about President Trump lashing out against his own supporters if they're still calling for the release of the Epstein files? I mean, we all made it very clear we want the transparency, we want the justice. That used to be the administration's position on this. We're just going to let you hear from the president in his own words, and I'm really curious as to how this hits you, how this strikes you, how you feel about it. Also, one family turns a lemonade stand into something much bigger. It is 8:06 right now. Let's go and dump some news on you.
The morning news dump brought to you by the Nutrition Stop.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They get all the news.
The morning news dump.
By the way, speaking of all these cuts, and I'll get into the dueling sound bites here in just a second. Apparently today is another one of those protest days that the left is trying to get organized across the country. I don't know. The last couple protest days haven't really amounted much in St. Louis. They're calling them good trouble.
Okay.
Protests. And so
if you say so.
Well, if you say so. So if that's what you see the Bernie bros and the Bernie chicks out there, like Trump bad,
socialism good.
Yeah, socialism good. Illegal immigrants good. Whatever. That's what's going on.
Okay.
We'll see whether that turns into anything or not. Okay. So early this morning, the U.S. Senate voted 51-48 to pass that rescission bill to claw back about $9 billion in spending. That includes funds for public broadcasting. It includes foreign aid. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the bill is cutting wasteful spending, but he acknowledges this isn't really that much spending that they're cutting.
What we're talking about here is 0.1% of all federal spending. 0.1% of all federal spending. But it's a step in the right direction.
And the usual suspects on the GOP side, that would be Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, were the senators who voted against cutting the spending. The other Republicans voted for it. Somebody didn't vote. 51-48 means there was one vote that was not cast. So I don't know who that was, and I don't care that much to look. But of course, this is apocalyptic to the left.
Oh yeah,
This is terrible.
Cats and dogs living together.
Oh my
Mass
goodness.
hysteria.
Yeah. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had this to say, because basically people are going to die if we don't continue this funding.
This is a dark day for America, a dark day for rural Americans, a dark day for any American who relies on public broadcasting during floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, and other disasters.
I'm still looking for that one person who relies on NPR or PBS for their storm warning. Who's that one?
Right. And also assuming that NPR and PBS would go away because of these very minor cuts to their budget contributions from the federal government.
They're not going away.
No.
So here's what happens. Because there were some changes to the House version and now it goes back to the House. The House has to pass this by tomorrow.
Right.
So I think they're going to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
I really do. I think this is going to go through.
They better.
Yeah, no kidding. My goodness. All right. Let's see here. Here's what else is going on. Let's see here. Do you know the name Anthony Bernal?
Bernal. Can't say it's ringing a bell right now.
I don't think most people don't know who Anthony Bernal is. He used to be an aide to former First Lady Jill Biden.
Oh, okay.
So not exactly a super public figure, but he was right there, in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
He is the next in line to plead the fifth during a deposition before the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday. That was the latest subpoena by the committee as part of their investigation into the cover-up of former President Joe Biden's mental decline and the investigation into accusations that the presidential auto pen and auto signature was used improperly for pardons and other executive actions. And it comes just 1 week after former Biden doctor Kevin O'Connor pled the fifth in his deposition, which is the invoking the constitutional right against self-incrimination. Congressman Byron Donalds responding to that development.
The fact that they are now hiding behind the Constitution so that they don't have to tell the truth to the American people about Joe Biden's capabilities and mental faculties while he was president of the United States is not just shocking, it's stunning, and it demonstrates the level of corruption that was going on in that administration.
Yeah, I mean, we have a Fifth Amendment for a reason, but the congressman is on to something here. He's not wrong.
No, yeah, I mean, look, this guy who was an assistant to Jill Biden, he was right there. He had to be right there for the tapioca incident of 2000 something. Because I think she was instrumental in being part of the puppet government that we had under his administration.
Was Jill Biden running the country at times?
Entirely possible.
Yeah.
Well, considering that she was running cabinet meetings on occasion, and that was just in pure public view, I would not be surprised if she had that auto pen rolling a few times.
Or was she assigning or pass blocking, the people who were? So when somebody says, I plead the Fifth Amendment, that says I am not going to testify because what I say could incriminate me.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where that development is. All right. Let's see here. Among the actions President Trump took yesterday was signing a law into place to step up the fight against fentanyl trafficking. Here's the story from Town Hall.
Joined by parents who lost children to fentanyl overdoses, the president signed the Halt All Lethal Trafficking of Fentanyl Act.
And we take a historic step toward justice for every family touched by the fentanyl scourge.
Under the new law, the opioid will be classified as a Schedule I drug, which promises tougher prison sentences for those convicted with trafficking fentanyl. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Why wasn't fentanyl already a Schedule I
drug? That's a really good question.
It's like we've been dealing with the fentanyl thing for a while now. It's like
we had to fight, as Jerome mentioned earlier, we had to fight marijuana. We had things to do.
Oh, okay, yeah. The war on drugs.
Oh, good God. All right. Department of Homeland Security. We mentioned this yesterday. Now reporting that when you compare the number of assaults on ICE officers in particular between January and July of last year and January, July of this year, It's up over 800%.
That's crazy.
Yeah, on Hannity last night on Fox, border czar Tom Homan says Trump administration is going to be responding forcefully to any and all future assaults.
You throw a stone at an ICE vehicle, we're going to get out, we're going to arrest you, we're going to prosecute you. You put a hands on an ICE officer, zero tolerance. You put a hand on an officer, you're going to jail.
Yeah, and we're starting to see signs that they mean that. And they're basically not interested in de-escalating by allowing the violence against them. So my hope is that, and I don't hope it's going to get ugly, because I would hope the protesters remain in their legitimate First Amendment space and don't engage in the violence. But if they do, if they make that choice, then my hope is that the law enforcement follows through. I don't care if things get rough, because couple of times, all that should be all it takes for Skippy, Biff, and Clint to see that this ain't worth it, and they don't want to have to explain this to Daddy and his trust fund before next semester.
Here's hoping.
At Columbia.
Yeah, really.
So,
and like we said before, it seems as though the left has declared it like an open war on ICE, and I think I should respond in kind.
Precisely. All right. I want to know what you think about this here, right around 8:20 or so. President Trump being accused of going on the attack against his own supporters if those supporters keep calling for more information about the Epstein sex trafficking case. Trump posted a lengthy rant on his Truth Social, calling the entire situation the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, and saying those who believe it are past supporters of his, and that they are weaklings doing the Democrats' work. And he actually used even more pointed words at people who are part of the MAGA movement, who are still saying, we want the truth about this.
Right.
So I've got some audio from the president. We've got his Truth Social post. And again, if I take any of this out of context, please call me out on it. But I want to know what you think. I want to know what you feel. Send me a note now on social media, on Facebook, on Rumble. Give me a call, 314-912-1019. Email me and let me know, and we'll have that conversation here, because he goes after the Democrats, but he's also going after everybody in the red hats too. So we'll do that. Cardinals, one more day off for the All-Star break. No game today. They start a series in Arizona against the Diamondbacks tomorrow.
I've had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On NewsTalk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Think you know your facts? Put your knowledge to the test at the St. Louis Young Republicans Trivia Night. Join us Friday, July 25th at the St. Louis County GOP headquarters in Fenton for an evening of fun facts and fantastic company. Meet fellow conservatives while competing for great prizes. Doors at 5:45, trivia at 6:30. Reserve your table and get tickets now at stlyrs.com. STLYRS.com. Presented by NewsTalk STL.
SR1 Sundays.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Kaiser. Be sure and check out my show, Straight Lines, this and every Sunday at 8 p.m., right after Stand and Fight, part of SR1 Sundays. Let's meet right here and let's peel back some layers of this crazy world, and you might be surprised at what we find. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on SR1 Sundays at 8 p.m., right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on News Talk STL.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010, extension 3 today, or visit colecombs-law.com.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arp from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, I guess if you still want transparency and accountability related to the Jeffrey Epstein and child trafficking scandal, you're a weakling and a former supporter.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Who are you hearing that from, Gabe?
Donald Trump.
Yeah. All right. So we've gone from the White House handing out booklets to social media influencers that say phase 1 of the Epstein files, to promising more of the Epstein case that is going to be released. Remember,
it's on my desk.
It's on my desk.
I'm reviewing it right now.
We went from that to case closed, to other than Ghislaine Maxwell, there are no perpetrators. The list doesn't exist, even though there are victims, to it's the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. It's all a hoax.
Yeah. I don't like this. I do not like this. I mean, now, of course, by hoax, he means the idea that it's being weaponized, that whatever happened with Jeffrey Epstein, it's done. It's not. And his administration has done all of its due diligence. Now that they say it's done, you guys are weaponizing it against us, and I don't like that. That's what he means by it's a hoax. But that's not true. Yeah. What we're weaponizing are the promises that were made. Basically, right. you kind of ran through it. It's like, hey, it's on my desk. This is phase 1 of the information that we're getting to you in these big, beautiful binders that were sent out to all of the social media influencers. So, yeah, maybe I am weaponizing it against you, but these are things that you said. These are statements that you made, or at the very least, your spokespeople made to us.
Right, exactly. Here's part of that, because I want to play, because he was asked to clarify this statement on social media.
Yeah.
I'm just going to play the whole answer, even though it's a little bit longer. On this True Social post that he made yesterday, and I'm just going to read it.
Mm-hmm.
He goes off on basically recounting the left's, basically fake scandals,
the various hoaxes, that
the Steele dossier, the laptop from hell, stuff like that, stuff that, he's right about.
Absolutely right.
He's right about that.
Russia, absolute scam.
Yep. And so he goes on to say, meaning the Democrats, the lefts, their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters, and that's all capitals past, my past supporters have bought into this BS, hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. I've had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Now, what he says to end this social media post, I think, is what I'm really curious to know how people feel about this, especially those. And I suspect a big part of our News Talk STL family would call yourselves MAGA.
Yeah.
I would be my guess. I mean, there's a lot of people in the building that do. Here's what the president said. These are his words, not mine. He goes on to say, let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, if you feel as though that's aimed at you, the only response that makes sense to me is ouch. That hurt. You came right at me with that one.
Yeah. So what's your take on that? So 314-912-1019 or send me a note. The president was asked about this in the Oval Office yesterday. After this was posted. So normally conventional wisdom, like I've said earlier, is you generally don't play sound bites that are any more than like 30, 35 seconds or something like that. I think it's important to keep everything he said in context and to keep it all his words. Okay, so here's the last part of the question and then the president's answer to it.
You said this was all a hoax. Has your attorney general told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen?
No, it's not the attorney general. No, I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. The Democrats are good for nothing other than these hoaxes. They're bad for policy. They're bad for picking candidates that can get elected. Like in New York, we have a communist running. He may get elected too, actually, but he'll destroy the city. It's I call it the Epstein hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements, we've had a great gentleman. Yesterday, as you know, went on CNBC and he made the statement that Trump may go down as the greatest president of all in the United States. And instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all of the things we've done, including in the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna let that marinate for a second here.
Yeah. What do you make of that, folks? You know, if you haven't already, hit us up on in the Rumble chat box. You can send us a note on Twitter or in on Facebook or even through the NewsTalkSTL app. You can hit us with message there. What do you make of it? How do you feel? How does that hit you when President Trump says that if you are still harping on getting this information, that you're just being taken in by a Democrat hoax and you're stupid?
Yeah, see, and that's Allison on Rumble says, show us the hoax and we will decide for ourselves if it's a hoax. Release all the documents. That's all. Is all the document tapes, passports they confiscated a hoax? Let's see it all. And here's the thing: going after the left for being unhinged with their attacks on yeah. I mean, we've been talking about that since 2016. Literally almost 9 years now of the unhinged stuff. We've been through all of these scandals and accusations of scandals that turned out to not be true, like the Hunter Biden laptop, which turned out to be true. What was not true was the left saying that this was, a big hoax and scandal, and then the Steele dossier. All of those things he's right about.
Yeah. Absolutely. And even before, when I'm trying to remember exactly when this was, but there was a point in there where the Democrats were making hay that Trump rode on Epstein's plane, right? Is like, and they were trying to turn that into, well, he's one of these kid diddlers, that went to the islands, things like that. You could rightfully call that an Epstein hoax. You could, I think, if
he did have a couple rides on the plane.
Well,
we
yes,
know that.
Yes, but that's not what we're talking about.
Right,
We're talking about the kid diddler part.
Right.
So like he's in the same way that they would say, okay, well, you're a felon. They turned an accounting mistake into into a multiple felonies associated with crime that didn't. That's the hoax. Okay, if you want to talk about those type of things being weaponized against you, sure. That's fine
because we've been in agreement on that for years here,
and we've been chronicling it. But what he's talking about something completely different here.
And here's what I want to know. He's talking to the people in red hats.
Yeah,
he's talking to the people who have had fellow grocery shoppers yell at you in the store because you have a Trump 2024 shirt on, or have your family not talk to you anymore, or you don't talk to your family anymore.
They've keyed your car.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to the people who have worked hard in support of him and of the MAGA movement itself. And he's now saying, if you're still asking for this transparency, you're a weakling, you're stupid, you're foolish. He wasn't talking to the Democrats.
Right. He made that clear himself.
Yeah, he was. So that's what here's how it struck me. Here's how it hits me. And you know what? I catch heat here because I try to be just calling balls and strikes.
Yeah.
And, I try to think back, and I think for every one time I disagree with Trump, there's probably 3 times I agree. So I just try to call balls and strikes.
I think those numbers are accurate.
I'm not a MAGA guy. I'm a conservative.
Right.
Okay, so I just try to be really objective. But that between that social media post and that statement that he made in the Oval Office that we just played, that sounds almost like the husband or the boyfriend who says, "What do you mean you're questioning me for being out at 2:00 in the morning and coming home smelling like perfume? I guess you don't love me. I guess you want to leave and get out of the house. Well, I didn't need you anyway."
Right. You don't trust me? We'll get out. Get out.
That's what that's felt like to me.
Right.
Now, maybe I'm overstating it. Or maybe I'm reading wrong. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you've got a different take on it. We've had a variety of responses, for instance, on social media and then the chat box. Some people just saying not buying it, and they say this hurts.
Yeah.
Other people say I don't like it, but I still support him.
Sure.
Other people saying, well, let's take the bigger picture and look at all the successes which are there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well. So there's no right or wrong answer to how it makes you feel.
Right.
That's that's the response that I saw, but I'm kind of looking in from the outside on the MAGA movement. How do you feel?
Right. And now personally, and I don't consider myself MAGA necessarily, but I feel kind of betrayed. Like I wanted the transparency. You promised me transparency. You promised me accountability. And maybe, and Camelia Peterson, she commented this. It's really about holding the powerful accountable. And that was one of the motivating spirits underneath the MAGA movement, that got him elected, was like, I thought you were going to stand up for the little guy and hold the powerful people accountable. And it feels like right now, all of this is protecting those powerful people. And I don't like it.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
There's something wrong with him. He's a sick puppy.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, we had some overnight thunderstorms roll through in spots, but the weather has generally settled down this morning. Let's be ready, though, for another round of rain and storms this afternoon with a weak cold front in the neighborhood. This time, storm chances highest from St. Louis to the south. Otherwise, partly cloudy, not as hot as yesterday, 87 this afternoon. An isolated shower or storm possible tonight, down to 72 for the low, and more of the same for Friday. Partly cloudy, chance of storms, high of 87. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
What is to blame for the alarming rise of this cancer in young people? I'm Tommy Laren. More next.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
Colon cancer used to be thought of as an older person issue, but not anymore. According to the American Cancer Society, in the U.S., the number of people under 55 being diagnosed has nearly doubled over the past decade, and more people are dying from the disease each year. But it's not just the U.S. that's struggling. This cancer is now on the rise among young people in at least 27 countries. So what's to blame? Researchers say it could be a toxin called colibactin, which comes from certain strains of E. coli that live in the colon and rectum. The jury is still out on exactly what causes this, but possible and concerning factors include mode of birth, breastfeeding, antibiotic use, and this one is the most troubling: ultra-processed foods. So it's a good thing HHS Secretary RFK Jr. is on a mission to make America healthy again. Part of that mission includes banning certain food dyes and pushing for fewer additives in our food supply. We got to start somewhere. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Experience the true flavors of Mexico at Dos Primos, O'Fallon's premier Mexican restaurant. From sizzling fajitas to homemade caldo de pollo, every dish is crafted with the freshest ingredients and traditional recipes, all made fresh daily in our kitchen. Cool down with our famous margaritas or your favorite cerveza, while our friendly staff makes you feel like family. Dine in or carry out. Visit DosPrimosMexicanRestaurant.com or find us on North Main in O'Fallon.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, I don't know about you, but I love learning about national and international issues here on News Talk STL. But do you know what's going on in your neck of the woods, your city, your county, and its politics? If you live in Jefferson County and want to know more about what's happening locally, join Speaker Tim Jones and me, Councilman Billy Crow, as we dive into all things Jefferson County on Sundays at high noon on Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
On News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, who gets to write the rules when it comes to artificial intelligence?
Ooh.
We cannot keep AI in its proper lane when we haven't even paved the highway yet. We're still paving the highway for a technology that's already outpacing us. So who gets to set the barriers for what it can and cannot and should not do? It is 8:36 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got producer Jerome here. We're now joined by Juan Londono from the Taxpayer Protection Alliance. And Juan, first of all, thanks for being on the program here. Interesting op-ed published in the American Spectator this week. Don't let California write America's AI laws. Now, I'm among those, Juan, who say that we don't even know what we don't know yet about AI. So I'm not even sure that we comprehend what this is going to do when it comes to changing everything in our society, from business to politics to relationships to media to anything and everything. So when we talk about don't let California write the rules for that, what are we referring to? Because I'm a free market guy, but we've got to have some guidelines and we've got to have a lane somewhere.
Yes, Mike. First of all, thank you for having me. As you mentioned, it's a great topic. It's very interesting, and things are evolving very rapidly. So when I talk about the op-ed, it's the reality that as you mentioned, there's a lot of concerns about what AI might and might not be, and that has triggered a lot of regulatory response, or the feel of, as you mentioned, like we got to do something with AI, right? But the problem, and we've seen it with the internet in other spheres, is that the internet is largely borderless. So what happens is, if a state passes a regulation, it usually affects other states beyond their jurisdiction. And that's why, and in the op-ed, I advocate that was Congress was having the right idea of telling the states, let's pause for a second. We're passing too many AI laws, and it's becoming very confusing what the actual laws and nation laws on AI are. And let's let Congress take the reins, and let's talk about this in the national sphere rather than the states.
What is the a lot of times we talk about emerging technology, because I know we're in a competition with China, and there's going to be competition in the US. We're talking about who's going to lay that foundation that AI builds itself on. Why not just have a completely free market and say, let the chips fall where they may? There are dangers in that. I'm asking that as kind of a devil's advocate question. I know that's not realistic, but what's the reason that we need to decide for somebody to be the referee at all? I mean, what's really at stake here if we don't have at least a free market that's above board?
Yeah, I think, like, as you mentioned, I think there's always a need to establish a regulatory environment, because you also want certainty. Like, I think even companies welcome, like knowing, for example, what are the rights or their responsibilities in terms of copyright, or when are they're going to be held liable for whatever the AI does. Like, is that a problem for the company, or is that a problem for whatever I, as a user, for example, if I decide to use AI for a nefarious purpose, am I the individual that used AI as a tool wrong? Am I the one being responsible, or is that going to be the company? And I think when you don't have rules in place that kind of set up the rules of the game, you have that uncertainty that creates a lot of problems, that probably brings a lot of litigation that is very costly for businesses too. So I think establishing some rules of the game it's also helpful to help this environment grow more, and especially as we think about our adversaries that we want to lead the race in AI, I think it's also pro-business in some way, or pro-markets even more, to establish some basic rules of the game.
Now, I know one of the statements I got from your organization, Taxpayer Protection Alliance, talking about Congress needing to fight back by passing a federal moratorium on reckless rules themselves. And this refers to your article, Don't Let California Write America's AI Laws. And the statement that I got says, this is going to stop blue states from dictating national tech policy through backdoor regulation. What is something that a deep blue state like a California or New York or something like that, or basically this represents hard leftists who are on the ground level of this? What are some of the things we want to stop, or we want to make sure that we don't allow them to regulate?
So yeah, we're already seeing so a lot of proposals in this sphere, on this part, on the trying to regulate AI, for example, on anti-bias measurements or anti-bias reporting. So it's like a double-edged sword. At first, like, all these AI companies need to start doing reports and tell regulators, like, look, our AI is not biased. And usually, these jurisdictions have a very specific definition of what is bias, and usually it's a lot of DEI or other type of ideology that permeates into this. But also in other states, for example, they're passing laws. In New York it's proposed a law that it would apply to any company that is replacing any type of worker with AI or any automated system. They would still have to pay the payroll taxes of any people they replace. So it really does not allow for, like, this innovation and automation. Usually, like, the efficiencies that AI would bring, you somehow still have to pay payroll taxes, even if that person is not working for you anymore. And this was proposed in New York, for example.
So you have to pay the payroll taxes even if there's no payroll. You have to pay taxes that for phantom employees who don't exist anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. It just mentions, like, yeah, like, for any, like, workers you replace, you still have to pay all the taxes that come with employing this person.
Is there room, and this is more, I guess, of a technical question regarding AI. We're visiting with Juan Londono from the Taxpayer Protection Alliance. Okay, so is there room for multiple? I mean, obviously, there's going to be chat and Grok and all these different things. How much room is there for multiple systems? And do we need to regulate where those systems come from? Because you mentioned the bias. I mean, it's like any other media. Am I going to have the option to use AI that's biased against me and leftist and look for an AI system that's more conservative? Or is there a reason to try to make them all stay within some level of being unbiased?
I mean, the problem when you try to establish an unbiased AI through policy is like who gets to define unbiased, right? And that becomes a political question. And sometimes your side of the definition that you as a user agree with might get elected. Sometimes it won't. And we've seen it with just if you want an example of the federal government, how the Trump administration would handle bias very differently from the Biden administration. And I think that at the end of the day, that would make a lot of people unhappy. So I think that's why you want a lot of systems competing. And at the end of the day, it's users that define, no, this AI is the one that I think search for the truth. It gives me a better product. And I think that's why it's important to not establish this unbiased requirements that a lot of states are trying to pass.
And you can see the article at spectator.org, the American Spectator. Don't let California write America's AI laws. And the subheadline is, this is one area the federal government should regulate, not each individual state. Juan, last couple minutes we've got, talk about the importance of addressing this up front, because by design, AI, artificial intelligence, is going to build upon itself. That's what it's being designed to do. How crucial is the time factor in setting the guardrails on AI right now, as opposed to saying, well, we'll get through the regulatory process, but it may be 5, 6, 10 years down the road?
I think there is some value in prudence as well. I think that, and that's something that I mentioned in the piece, is yes, there has to be decisive action. I think, especially in Congress, we realized at the internet that we didn't address it with a national framework, and we kind of let the states do its thing. And the Congress did not act very swiftly. And then you had a lot of splintering laws and conflicting laws to this day on stuff like data privacy. So I think Congress does have to tackle the idea of regulating AI swiftly, but not rushed. So I think there's a lot of, as you mentioned, excitement, a lot of both pessimism and optimism on the technology. And some of those ideas might not materialize as quick as we think, or might not materialize at all. But I think Congress does have to act, especially providing a nationwide framework. And I think that's why the idea of the moratorium, and in general, Congress just taking the reins and saying, we're going to create something that applies to all Americans uniformly. Because that helps businesses and Americans too. Because, for example, today, if with the internet, you're in Missouri, I'm in DC, but this is being transmitted to Rumble. And we are in different locations. What laws apply, even though the three of us are interacting with the same technology? Similar situation with AI. You want a nationwide framework that gives uniformity, gives clarity to users and businesses.
All right. I've already linked your article on our social media, particularly Rumble as well. But people want to follow your work, Juan. They want to be in touch with Taxpayer Protection Alliance. They've got more questions. What's the way to do it?
Yeah, our main media, it's on Twitter or X. My ad is Juan M. Londono R, or Protect Taxpayers. That's my organization. We also publish our work in our website, protectingtaxpayers.org. All
right, Juan, thanks for the insight, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, 314-912-1019. If you got some thoughts on that, great. We're going to have a few minutes left to kind of give you a chance to sound off. What's your reaction? Because I know there's a lot of people have some strong thoughts about President Trump's statements towards Republicans and or supporters of the MAGA movement who are still calling for Epstein transparency. So if you have some thoughts on that, we're going to have about 7-8 minutes left if you want to make your voice heard on that here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, and Monocle's Pizza.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
JC's Wayback Machine.
We'll remember the moon landing this week in '69, the 50th anniversary of the Fleetwood Mac album, and Michael J. Fox's visit in '91. Plus a rare A-list interview with Linda Ronstadt, who turned 75 this week. We talked with the great Jimmy Griffin and give away some El Monstero tickets. All that, along with great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s, presented by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Ken, you know what?
What, Vic?
I miss Stell Babe.
Stell Babe.
Why don't we get him on the show?
Let's do.
All right, Stell Ponticus, the Stell Babe, joins us Thursday at 10:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
The perfect body, the perfect face. It's like God's best work, all in one place. For the haters ain't perfection, can't you say? It's a burden being wonderful like me.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Interesting follow-up there. DMCCB, Rumble Chat Box. I believe we're experiencing a war of information. I don't believe we will know full transparency with regard to how deep the deep state is, and the president is standing to not only protect us, but the world, referring to the AI conversation.
Yeah.
As well there. And I know on Facebook, Kathleen just had an interesting take in response to the president's, I don't know how else to put it. I think it's fair to say lashing out against Republicans, because he's used the word stupid Republicans, regarding people still calling for the Epstein files and transparency on that. And that was on Facebook. And she says she believes the president owes his supporters an apology. What do you think? Let me know. Here's what I think. I think that if, and obviously this is not inherently Donald Trump's nature, is to say I was wrong. But I think that if President Trump said, you know what, I was really pissed off. This is distracting from the work we're doing. I got mad. I should not have said that. I apologize. Please forgive me. Can you imagine a world where Donald Trump says that? No, I don't. If he did, my guess is every single person who's confused or angry or upset who's walked away, they probably respond by going, okay, I'm back on board. Where did I put that red cap? I think that's the reaction. They're basically saying, give me a reason to not be hurt so bad by what you just said and what you just called me.
Yeah. And my observation is also, again, I did not view this as we are all suddenly turning on President Trump and MAGA. It's been, you have to prove how loyal you are to me, or you're not really MAGA, and we're going to turn on you. That is the challenge that's been an issue, because, and again, to his defense, it's not like he was holding rallies saying, we're going to release all of this. It was a lot of people. He's acknowledged the list a couple times in interviews. It was people within his own cabinet that said, we have authorization to do this.
Mhm.
We're going to do phase one. You already had this whole, you knew what people were expecting.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how they couldn't have just sat there if this is the game that they want to play now and said, what we have now does not look like it's fully legitimate. We need to spend more time investigating it. We need to spend more time looking into this. It could be a hoax, whatever the case. If they had started off with that, the amount of people saying, okay, at least they're still working on it. And then we put that aside out of our brains for now.
There would be a fiery debate over it. There'd be a lot of fights on social media.
It would not have gotten to this point. And then so it went from him acknowledging that there are things that are legitimate that exist to there is no list and case closed to it's a hoax
to this.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work.
And I will say unabashedly, no, I've never once in the past since Biden got into office and I was like, holy cow, this is a disaster. I've never once done anything to do work for the Democrats. And if I'm stupid because I looked at the case files and the convictions and I know what's available to the public, confirming that there are multiple people, and I want to know, why can you not just go through the court file and go through the evidence that you all claim that you had, make a list of these people and say, here's the actual list. It should be that easy. And it's not. And now you're telling me that we're going to call us stupid when we went through and we were going through everything we did to get you into office and to support you and work with you. That's not the way you win. That's not how you're going to win the midterms. And that's definitely not, I mean, I can only imagine what 2028 is going to look like at this point.
Yeah. I mean, obviously a lot can happen between, now and then. It's that I think abrupt, I've had it up to here kind of approach and that's sort of, lashing out. I mean, the reality is that they've gone from, yes, they were asked, do you have the files? Yes, they're on my desk. Confirming they were there, to case closed. We're not doing any more. Too well, it doesn't exist. To now it's it's just none of it follows any logical sense. And people, whether it's Republicans in general, conservatives, MAGA, whatever part of the right that you're on, who are saying, no, wait a minute, I'm staying consistent. We demanded the answers when Biden was in office. We're still demanding the answers when you're in office. And we were under the impression you were going to give us the answers because we know that powerful people are being protected and there's no justice here. To now being told that I don't want your support if you're one of those people, even if you've been with him since 2016, that you're stupid, you're foolish, you've fallen into a net. Well, if there's a net, it's been weaved by the last two administrations, including the current one.
And you were telling us point blank, we are dumb for believing
Right.
Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino. And I want to be gracious. It could be very well the case that maybe Pam Bondi or people within there were excited that we're going to get the classified information. She asked for the report, the stuff that is already publicly available, because that's what was in those binders, is everything that's in the FBI vault that's been available since like 2019, 2020. That was what was given to her. So she thinks she's going to do some awesome, great reveal. That's what was given to her. They say, we cannot release the sealed document still. We cannot release this classified stuff. And then it's like,
which tells us it's there.
And so now they're trying to save face because we just did this whole spectacle and it blew up. And then again, it's one thing to say that we can't release it right now. There's too much going on globally. We have other things to worry about. If you come out with that, more people would be willing to do it, but you can't call us stupid for trusting what you said.
Precisely. Because remember, at one point it was the deep state is hiding it. That office in New York won't turn it over. We're going to get to the bottom. It was at one point it was, we're going to clean house and go after the deep state because they're keeping the Epstein files from you.
Yeah.
Now it's a hoax.
Yeah. It's,
now
if there's any silver lining though, Thomas Massey is trying to force a single issue. I don't know if
it's called a discharge petition is what it's called.
Okay. A discharge petition. This is the only thing that would be voted on. No adding other nonsense in. Released what we have about what they have. And our good friend Eric Burleson, doing a great job. He co-sponsored it among a couple other Republicans. I don't know if any Democrats are on board because why would they?
Ro Khanna is.
Okay, so props to her as well.
I wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Democrats do get on board this. What's really going to be telling is how many Republicans get on board.
Yeah, because if you vote no on this, what you're saying is I don't want to release the evidence that we have regarding the case, and that it's not going to be a good look if you want to be reelected in the future.
Right.
So that's we're in some interesting times here.
It's really an interesting. It really is fascinating times. And let me just say this: I've known Eric Burleson a long time, a long time, and it's been so much fun to watch his career develop. Just like, I've known Bob Onder a long time as well. But I'm telling you right now that Eric Burleson is shaping up to be a real leader and voice of the freedom movement within Congress and within the Republican Party. I'm not talking about a leader in the Republican Party. I'm talking about a leader of the freedom movement fighting within the Republican Party. Keep your eye on Eric Burleson. He could become like the next Rand Paul or somebody like that.
From home improvement to